Welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Tonight, Boise State looks to get back on track in the UAL against LCK Super Team. The Broncos lost last week 1-2 to Northeastern and currently sit at 0-2. Hopefully they're able to finish the deal today to get their first win tonight. I am your host, Jared Barretel Castiglione. Joining me for the action is Michael Fisher. And Fish, I got a question for you. With the way that Boise State's kind of making these subtle improvements from game to game, they're so close to clinching a W. What do you think their final adjustments are they need to make tonight to get that first W on the board?
It's really just finishing the game. I mean, we saw it against Texas. We saw it against Northeastern. They get to a spot where the game is winnable, the series is winnable, and just a small mistake ends up costing them in the end. We saw it, you and I did, against Texas, where they just had to finish the game a little bit earlier. They ended up letting the Yone get hyper-scaling. We saw it last week against Northeastern. I mean, you'd say Ascent was really ahead of his time. He pulled a Perks before Perks pulled a Perks, which, is a whole other meme on itself. But, I mean, it's just these little things that Boise State is doing, but it's not like they're far away. It's not like, oh, if they did this differently at 15 minutes, they'd win. They are right there, so they just need to work on finishing the deal. And I know that's something this team has been practicing all week, trying to get that done. So I think they easily can get it done here. Now, LCK Super Team, I guess they missed out on Worlds, or they're too good for Worlds. That's always a scary little bit to worry about.
Right into the mind game.
Yeah,
portion,
the LCK dominates League of Legends, and you're like, wait, what are you doing in the UAL? Like, shouldn't you be at Worlds? Did you miss your flight? So, no, I think Boise State can easily get it done. They just need these small little things to correct. They can easily pick up a win tonight.
I have a plan. It involves this.
Uh-oh. Is it the rally monkey? Oh, no, there it is. There it is.
This should probably help a little bit. I'm not playing, but I'm in spirit on the backstage there with the players. So we'll have to see.
We're truly 65 right now.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, this thing's clean, though. I'm going to be honest. And this hopefully will inspire some clean gameplay from the Broncos tonight. But how did we get here? Let's take a look at the rules of this tournament. The UAL is a best-of-3 series. 5 versus 5, of course, on Summoner's Rift. This is the first week with Vex being available, and Boise State starting with the red side for Game 1. Whoever loses Game 1 will get to choose the side for Game 2.
Red side is interesting. We haven't seen Boise State start on red side. They've gotten blue side in their first 2 games, so I'm very curious how that's going to affect their pick order. I know they have a few champions that they really like to pick first on blue side that they might not want to see if they're on red side. So I'm curious how that's really going to affect the picks for Game 1. I don't think that the Vex legal part is going to affect at least Boise State, but maybe we'll see it on the other side because there definitely are some bans that stand out, and once you ban away people's primary champions, you really have no idea where they're going to go.
And here is the lineup for the Boise State Broncos coming up here in just a moment. And with that being said, these guys are ones that are continue to be dominant. Elo Dad in the top lane, Mortar here in the jungle. Ascent will be the starter for tonight in the mid lane. Goblin in the ADC role, and Light Pulse finishing up that crucial support. And today's lineups are brought to you by Count. Count's Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands. Definitely something to have in the backup plan. Maybe some Count protection can keep the Boise State's base safe from defeat or demolishing. So we'll have to see what ends up happening there. And we're soon to get in the draft. We're in the inner workings of that. So I'm kind of excited to see whether or not Vex will peak her, gloomy head, if you will. It's tough to say, though, because as you had mentioned, within this tournament, this is the first week that she's been available.
Yeah.
Boise State right now not really putting a lot of time or effort into that champion because of that reason. Could prevent a lot of other teams from doing the same thing.
I mean, I definitely think she's sort of a wild card. I mean, especially I don't expect Ascent to play it, but I think Ascent would also be the perfect person to play it just because we know what the ban is going to be against Ascent. Right. We know Rumble is going to be taken away. There's really not a debate about it. And I have heard that maybe, he's not as high on Rumble as he once was with some of the changes, especially after Rumble became a top-tier jungler. He kind of got all these wonky changes. Yeah. So maybe it's something he has been working on, and maybe it's something you're going to see, though. I think Ascent has been really strong on these, AD mids. I mean, we saw it on the Tryndamere. We saw him on the Corki. He has done a great job on that Corki, really keeping Boise State in the game. I think both times he's played Corki, Boise State hasn't won, but he has been the guy who's basically willed Boise State to stay in the game. So
in tandem with Mortar, I think that dynamic duo, and that's such a kind of linchpin for success for a lot of professional teams, is that mid jungle duo.
And I think that Mortar has been basically the success rod for Boise State. He has had some insane games, especially on that Lee Sin that we talked about. Very curious, since Boise State doesn't get first pick, what LCK super team really plans to do if they want to ban away that Lee Sin, if they want to pick it themselves. I know Boise State might just end up banning it away. I did see some Lee Sin in the jungle history for the LCK super team's junglers. So that is going to be a really sort of highly contested pick. It's not something we've really seen Mortar do well on outside of Lee Sin. Not that he's been doing bad on other junglers, but I mean his Lee Sin game plays like 19-3 every game, 15-5, absolutely insane. So I'm curious what the jungle prio is going to be for Boise State in this first draft, starting on that red side. And Mortar's got things going. And the other thing, we talked about top mid jungle. The one thing I want to talk about, Baratel, is top jungle. Boise State has tried really hard to get Elo Dad going. They've been almost close to doing it a couple of times. I know that's been their game plan. I think that's something we've got to watch out for, is where Mortar spends more time. Is it roaming the map like we're used to, or is it trying to help Elo Dad get ahead in the top lane?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen other teams, the first ones, Longhorns, week 1. They drafted a great duo jungle top combo with the Olaf and the Gwen, and that was something that Boise State should have been afraid of, but the way that they executed the Lee Sin set combo was devastating. And just as a reminder, as we get ready to drop into the draft, let's remind our friends on Twitch to support your team, celebrate the successes, and please be respectful to each other fans. The mods are watching, and they will remove anyone who violates the chat rules, so don't be naughty. Not allowed. Unless you're Vex, I guess. She's kind of got a little angst to her.
Yeah, she's got perfect champion to come out around Halloween, by the way.
Right.
I mean, came out a lot earlier, but with the ban, especially since I think she got released on like a Wednesday, so it ended up delaying her another week, because last week would have been 2 weeks since her release, but she came out on Wednesday. We play on Tuesdays, so it really is perfect time for Vex to come out. We just started spooky season here at Boise State. We've got some big plans coming, and now we hop right into the draft. We see that Bard taken away there by the LCK super team, and I'll be very curious. At Lee Sin is the pick I'm watching out for. Who does it get banned? Does it get picked? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and if that goes through, because it's highly contested on both sides then, right? Yumi being the first ban for the Boise State roster. If anyone had watched Worlds today, they know exactly why Yumi's being taken away.
Yeah.
Completely devastating on an assassin, ADC, a tank, wherever she can get her paws on. Definitely a scary champion to let through the ban phase.
Really feels like if you watch Worlds, it feels like the only playable support at this point. The Talon ban, that is interesting. I know that's something Mortar pulled out Game 3 last week against Northeastern, had a more bruisery build, and it didn't do poorly. But again, that Lee Sin, this to me tells me LCK wants Lee Sin first pick. If you're going to ban Talon, this tells me you're prepping around Lee Sin first pick for the LCK super team.
And then the Thresh ban coming out as well, trying to minimize the effectiveness of the support player from that LCK super team. But 2 support bans going that wayside, I feel like that's a lot of respect given to that role.
I want to get hyped. Yeah, okay. I was like, Rumble? No? Okay, third ban.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah, never going to happen. Yeah, that is a lot of respect being given to that support role. You are correct. This is the ban that I'm curious about.
Is this Lee Sin
Yeah,
or not,
does
right?
Boise State believe that they're going to first pick Lee Sin? The answer is no. They actually want to take away that Lucian. And I know, again, if you've been watching Worlds, Lucian Nami is an absolutely cracked bot lane. That has been destroying people. So I totally understand taking that away. You basically kind of force them to take Lee Sin here. I mean, maybe this is what Boise State wanted, because, yeah, there's the Lee Sin. If you didn't take it, we were going to pick it up. So now Boise State gets a double pick here. I'm curious what they're going to want to go with.
I mean, in tandem, Lee Sin has a 46% win rate across the board against Kiana as a jungler. So that might be something. It still fits that pseudo bruiser playstyle. If you build that Gore Drinker, you get the Yomu, so you can still do a lot of damage. And that team setup for team fights within those kind of chokeholds and corridors is huge. But why do that when you can just pick Jin Zhao?
Yeah, why do
just
that when you can
people?
become invincible to anything outside of your circle and you all? I love the Jin Zhao pick. It's something that Boise State really likes to play around. They actually had some awkward moments in the other UAL games where both junglers wanted Lee Sin and both junglers wanted Jin Zhao, and it kind of put them in an awkward spot. So I love that. I love the Misfortune pick. She's
Great idea.
Getting nerfed here soon a little bit, is according to the leaks in the patch. The Leona pick, interesting there for the LCK.
I think that's the right call, right? With Misfortune being picked, the Solar Flare Bullet Time combo is one that just shreds you up, and Boise State even winning some very definitive team fights with that combo. Great idea for this LCK super team to take it away. Leona, great champion. And the Ezreal coming out. That's
Leona wants to win. I don't know if I like that pick.
Ezreal actually hasn't had that much success recently within the Worlds competition.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen in UAL as well. So this is a weird pick as you kind of mentioned, this is kind of different tempos. Leona's full throttle from like level 2. Ezreal needs a couple items to even come online. And then the Rel counter pick here for this Boise State roster. This is, again, we've said this in the past, this is a scrappy bottom lane. It remains to be true in this series as well.
Hey, you lose Leona, you pick better Leona. I know that was sort of the joke that always got made when Rel first came out, is it was just basically a better version of Leona with a horse. And I mean, especially, you talk about setting up bullet times, Rel can do that very easily with her ult the gangplank banned away there by the LCK super team, something that we haven't seen Elo Dad play, but that's just one of those game one. Look at the OPGGs. Right. You see it's got over 300 games. We're just not going to let you play it. The Yone is the next champion I'm looking out for, because that is something that was heavily present in the mid lane for the LCK team. I know it's something that Ascent has talked about really liking his matchups against, so maybe Boise State lets it through and baits him onto that. We get the LeBlanc ban there, so very curious if Yone gets through or not here, and if the LCK wants to pick it up. There's that Camille. They want to target down Elo Dad, take him off his two maybe playmaker champions, probably putting on something a little more tanky, like maybe an Ornn. Be very curious to see what he wants to play. Leaving
Zed open is kind of interesting, only because of the fact that what we might see Boise State draft into, it would be a Corki maybe. Orianna's a great pick here as well for the mid lane. Banning the LeBlanc out of the way is going to be a tremendous boon to an Orianna's ability to lane control. You know, with her not having the fear of being bursted. Yone still being alive in the draft is going to be scary. There's also some play history on Aurelia for at least the mid laner, and that can flex top lane depending on what you want to do. Aurelia into Shen is an interesting matchup, though I don't think that works in Aurelia's fashion. But Kennen, on the other hand, we were just talking about how Kennen is such a powerhouse, has received a lot of buffs, sleeper or otherwise, and his base damage is ridiculous. I think at level 16 with just 2 items, his Q alone does 900 damage. Unmitigated, of course, but Shen into the Kennen, and there is that Yone. As you said, it's going to be something that is going to end up putting a timer on Boise State. Ezreal in tandem with Yone. It is a ticking time bomb for Boise State to accentuate maybe the biggest criticism for the performance is their ability to close the game quickly.
Well, you could tell Boise State wanted this matchup, right? Because, I mean, Yone was, I mean, far and away. It was like over 130 games for the LCK mid laner. Nothing else was really close. But Boise State played their cards right, and they basically said, we want you to pick Yone before we show our hand in mid lane and allow Ascent to get the counter pick of his choice, and he ends up going up with the Cassiopeia. So this is totally going to be on Boise State. If that Yone ends up popping off, that'll be probably the biggest question mark in my head of, okay, why do we let this through? But I think, again, we talked about this. I've heard Ascent feels like he can counter Yone in the mid lane on certain champions as long as he, you know, picks into that Yone. I know there was, you know, we saw Cassidy into Yone. It was kind of just a stalemate. Neither of them really got going until the very end. So overall, I'm very curious. Both these team comps feel like, you know, they're just trying to set up for the 1 or 2 members to pop off. You look at the side of the LCK, outside of Yone, I mean, it depends on how Lee Sin's going to build, if he's going to build more damage, if he's going to build more utility. Ezreal, as you mentioned, he's going to take a while. Kennen's usually just used for that slicing maelstrom just to kind of set everyone up. And you look at Boise State, you've got the bullet time. You've kind of got a lot of setup for the bullet time. You've got the Cassiopeia ult. You've got the taunt. You've got the Rel ult. So it really feels like a lot of pressure's on Goblin this game, in my opinion. Goblin has got to play well, which is something we know he can do. We've seen it done in the past. If Goblin struggles, I think Boise State's going to struggle right along with him.
I think so, but a crucial factor in this is depending on how the team fights play out, that miasma can completely stop Yone from engaging.
Yeah.
It stops 2 of his abilities instantly. Even the 3rd Q can't be cast while in that miasma, so it truthfully is up to Ascent to place that in such a pivotal location to deny that access to the back line. But when it comes down to it, I really do think that the Boise State team has that kind of aggressive play style that they like to have. Make it rain with the extra slow. You give the opportunity for Rel to crash down, and the rest of the team's there with the Shen ult and the combo. But what do I know? Let's turn it to Doc's keys to the game. And Doc's keys to the game in League of Legends. Focus a strong comp. I think that's once checked. Play to your comp. We'll see how we check that one off. Remember, you win con and Dragon Control. Always great tips. And Doc's keys of the game are brought to us by Drop In Gaming. Drop In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. And Again, for those just joining us, this is the LCK Super Team versus Boise State University.
That's just such a great
We'll have to
day.
see how super the team is, to be honest.
That's just such a fantastic day. That really just, I mean, you just get the jokes if they win. It's like, of course, LCK is so good. And then if they lose, you're like, well, I don't think your region's going to keep you. So actually, we did just get word that one of the picks was wrong. It was actually that Cassiopeia actually was changed to a Rise.
A Rise, okay.
Which I kind of like the team comp better with Cassiopeia, to be honest.
I think that miasma was going to be a great deterrent in addition to the petrifying gaze, but if you get that turnaround moment and you feel just super bad about it, Rise is a little bit more consistent with what he does. Most of his damage is target based, so it's going to be something that he can use. And I think it's actually a better boon for the way that Ascent likes to play. We saw so much success from Ascent when he was on Corki with teleport and the package.
Yeah.
Those flank angles can still be replicated with the Realm Warp. So still a huge opportunity for him to maybe play some mind games, come with a flank play. Rise is a great flank TP'er.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see whether or not that reigns supreme. And if I'm not mistaken, because it's Yone and not Yasuo, Rise does pretty well against Yone.
I mean, it's World Path's Rise.
Right.
So, I mean,
That's true. He's
that's
got the
always
buff.
something that somehow every single year your Rise always just becomes incredibly unkillable. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the playstyle for Ascent, we'd seen him on the Cassiopeia, and while you're right, I think this individual Yone matchup I like better on Cassiopeia. I do think you're right. Using that Realm Warp, just having really just that machine gun, just point-and-click damage that they've given Rise is really going to help kind of alleviate the one concern I had with the previous team comp, which was it's all on Goblin. I do think this one kind of allows Rise to pop off a little bit and gives Goblin some freedom, because we have seen in the last match, actually, where there was a Yone, Goblin would get a bullet time, immediately get hit by the Yone ult and get knocked up. So I do think this alleviates a lot of pressure on Goblin. So I do honestly like the different pick that ended up coming through here. That one makes a lot more sense, but I am always concerned. Anytime you get a Yone in the game and it's someone who plays a ton of Yone, it's always scary, because it can go they're either going to go 0-10 or they're going to go 30-0, and there's really no middle ground.
Well, the 0-10 is the power spike moment, right?
Exactly. They're going to go 0-10 and then 30-10, or they're going to go
Right.
30-0. No, yeah, that's the problem with Yone. I feel like he's either shut down or he's just too much. There's no middle.
Are you ready for the weird Baratel fact for the game?
Hit me.
Not a Serpent's Fang game by any means. Instead, did you know you can reposition your MF ult with Realm Warp?
That'd be pretty
Pretty
tricky.
cool.
Like, I mean, I can't really think of a situation that would ever be useful, but I'm glad I know
So
that.
the direction you cast it. So let's say you're
Yeah.
casting like towards Dragon Pit
Yeah.
from the mid river.
Yeah.
If you Realm Warp behind, the cast location switches because you're casting towards that direction.
Okay.
Pretty sneaky.
I thought it was
huh?
going to be like always in the same
He's just
direction.
facing
so
the
I'm
same
like,
direction.
if I'm at Dragon and then I Realm Warp behind Dragon, I'm just okay. That makes a lot more sense. No, I don't think we'll ever see that.
I don't think we'll see it, but it can happen.
Well, talking about the Realm Warp, you actually do bring up a good point of the misfortune is maybe we use the Realm Warp to escape the Yone.
Right.
Instead of, let's reposition the bullet time, it's maybe this is kind of our get-out-of-jail-free card until Misfortune can get the stopwatch, until Misfortune can get the Guardian Angel. Once that Guardian Angel is on cooldown, if this game does go long enough. So there are definitely some very unique plays that I think Rise's ult definitely enables that are outside the normal, I'm going to be a mini Twisted Fate and teleport across the map without telling anyone. No, I definitely think there are some where it's like, okay, let's get Misfortune out of dodge. Let's just move Goblin away from the Yone, build some space. So be very curious to see exactly how that goes. And I'll be very curious to see if maybe it's a Gale Force game for Goblin to give him that extra blink. That has been the only one thing that has been interesting is Goblin's playstyle. He's never really built a mythic first. He's always built like a Serpent's Fang or a Yomu.
Like the Executioner's Calling, things like that, yeah.
I do think he needs to just pick an item. I know maybe you want to go with the Gale Force.
Shield Bow could be great
Shield
here,
Bow
too.
could be really good. I mean, really all of them are great options. He doesn't have to be reliant on doing all the AD damage because they do have Xin Zhao, so I think that helps him out a little bit, and he's not going to have to build Kraken Slayer. But
that's another boon, too. Just have Mortar sit on Misfortune, wait for the engage to happen,
knock
pop
away.
the ultimate, knock him away. And then Rel should be pretty adept at keeping Misfortune safe. That Realm Warp can be used to reposition because we often seen Boise State get access to the backline, but then their backline gets access. Pop the Realm Warp to wherever your tanks are and hide behind them still. It's also a huge opportunity for Shen, We've seen in the first week games between the Longhorns and the Broncos, that Shen ult continued to just stop any sort of advancement, any sort of picks from happening. So we'll have to see if that remains to be true as we do get to the Rift. And we're looking across, not seeing anything super weird. Exhaust on Misfortune versus the heal Ignite. They have Ignite, Exhaust.
Well, yeah, the
so
heal.
no heal on the bottom.
I mean, I get the no heal from Goblin. Of course, you're trying to get, you want to make sure you get away from Klexo in that mid lane. You want to make sure you have some escapability. I mean, I do like heal. I think the one thing for Boise State is they clearly have a lot of ways to peel for Misfortune, right? They have Shen, they have Zinzao. We've gone over all the options. The question is, how many of those options are going to be used to peel? Because you're still going to have to find some way to get on that back line, especially once Extorted gets kind of fed on that Ezreal, so or gets at least items, not necessarily fed. I don't want to. Hopefully, I don't see into the future there and Caster Curse it. But how many people go forward? How many people stay back? I think that's a delicate dance Boise State's going to have to play.
LCK Super Team has 4 Conquerors, by the way. Which begs the question why Leona didn't take it as well.
I think it really points out why Conqueror is seeing a decent-sized nerf in the upcoming patch.
Good. Thank good. Poke coming through. Actually manages to get behind the minion. Nice flip around, but the engage will be no one's. A little bit of a trade going over to the Boise State's favor, but beyond that, Leona not really the easiest champion to kill.
Yeah, I like the make it rain pick first there from Goblin. He's really going to have
with the Comet too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to point out. Was the Comet allows him to have that extra poke anytime that Leona does end up going in. Overall, just kind of pretty chill. We didn't see anything too crazy from the junglers. I don't even think we saw any. I mean, I guess they did get a reward right on Boise State's Raptors, so they were going to have a little bit of tracking on Mortar. But outside of that, it's pretty just a simple start overall.
Going to Krugs and then going back to Raptors. Looks like both junglers maybe want to hover around mid for a while just to see whether or not aggression continues to develop. This is a pretty crucial moment, though. We've seen Elodad really successful in these melee v melee matchups. I don't think we've seen him against a ranged champion, let alone Kennen, and that could be a huge opening for the LCK Super Team.
Yeah, plus with the red start from Mortar, it kind of signals that he's not going to have any interest. Yeah, he's not going to have any interest in going up to that top lane early on. He's just going to go, looks like, through mid, probably make his way down to blue buff and his crab, look for maybe an invade here.
Checking camps for information. This is really informative, I think, to check whether or not the Krugs are gone, to guess where Lee Sin is, because Lee Sin's such a powerful clear champion. You can really go anywhere, and I think they're maybe affording even some deep vision here. This could be a dive attempt early game on this mid Yone. We had the Light Pulse rotate up, but to no avail, and it looks like they're just going to consider going for the bottom Scuttle Crab.
Plus that top gank now is almost out of the question because No Flame has pushed Elodad in so much with that, Kennen range versus melee Elodad, just kind of letting him get all the farm. So now Lee Sin's just going to be forced to back after his first clear and really not make a play. You see Light Pulse trying to move up here.
Trying to find anything, some sort of angle for engagement, but kind of just sitting there waiting time. And it could be because of the fact that Leona pressure, now that she's level 3, feels insurmountable. The Rel does have a little bit extra movement speed within the horse form, so maybe affording a little bit of an opportunity for a roam. Didn't result in anything, and we saw No Flame top lane get a fair amount, I think 6 caster minions in that top wave crashing into the tower. Gets what we call a cheater recall, which he gets a free base and not having to expend any sort of summoners such as teleport.
This is something I do like seeing from Boise State, is that we're just playing this game slow. I think Boise State teams in the past have been very aggressive, and has it worked out? 100%. Has it not worked out? Yes, it has blown up in their face a couple times. So I like the fact we're just playing this slow. I mean, you look across the board, everything's pretty much even. There's a decent-sized wave here for Klexo to catch up on CS. Everything's just pretty nice and slow, and I do like that for Boise State, because I think sometimes we've seen Mortar get aggressive on that Lee Sin, and it's resulted in a ton of kills. But we've also seen mid-game Boise State try and make plays in enemy jungle and not have anything work and give away kills and let the enemy team back in the game. So it's World Season, baby, and you can't complain about 0-0 and really nothing. No attempted ganks, no attempted kills. We're just farming across the board. Yeah,
gold's pretty much dead even. We see maybe it shift 100 either way, but that's negligible. It's a pink ward essentially.
Yeah.
But we saw just now Light Pulse based and opted for the Boots Rush, which continues to kind of solidify the belief that they want to continue roaming. And I think that means that with how much emphasis in the pathing from Mortar, they want to put some more emphasis towards this mid lane. But unfortunately for that, Yone's not being the typical like shift W Yone to run forward at you. Always aggressive, very predictable Yone. He's being very, very conservative. Klexo doing a really good job realizing that if he gets put behind, his team has a huge gap that can be exploited.
I really haven't seen any, as you mentioned, yeah, Boise State, and I've heard, they want to make plays through this route. We might get our first real fight here over this top Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, Scuttle too. There's a pings coming out from across the board. Boise State has prio in the mid lane, but top lane is all the side of LCK Super Team. Kennen does have ultimate, so slicing Maelstrom in a team fight, even an early one, could be devastating. Kudos to Elodad for keeping up in CS against Kennen, though.
Yeah, I mean, really everyone's done a great job. I do think it went over to, I think that's a Boise State Rift Scuttle. It's hard to tell there on that map.
It does. It looks blue.
I thought it looked red because Mortar's Smite was the only one that went on cooldown between the two junglers.
That's fair. At least him doesn't really need the Smite.
True.
Yeah.
We'll have to end up seeing who it did end up going over to, but overall, I mean, it looks like, Dragon has spawned. We talked about it in Doc's Keys, and honestly, in some of their UAL matches, Boise State or the other team has just gotten the free first two Dragons. There hasn't been an issue. There really hasn't been, a contest over the first Dragon. We do see Mortar coming down here, maybe looking to make a play. It's not warded. Him and Lee Sin might run into each other in Tri-Bush.
Here comes the engage. Leona not level 6, though.
Oh,
just rain, just a big slow, trying to get the conk stacked up and that Comet to come out. Nice dodge there in the mid lane from Ascent. That knock-up in tandem with the rest of the Yone combo, even at this early level, he just has the Berserker Greaves. He gets so many extra Qs out that if you get CC'd for a moment, you're pretty much going to be toast.
I'm just really shocked and impressed how slow this game has been. And you look, I mean, yeah, Elodad is a little bit behind in CS, but I'm sure if we went up top lane, we'd see a pretty decent wave crashing down on him, and that's why he's about 9 behind. Everything's been kind of even. I do like, here we go, though.
The insects coming out. The fantastic flash will be knocked up, but the dodge of the ult. Channel will come through, but where's the rest of the team? Boise State and the taunt will land on 2. So much damage remaining to be done, but they'll trade the 1-for-1. Here comes the Realm Warp, the flash. Yone trying to get some distance there. Gets himself barely to safety. And it looked like actually Ascent had ulted forward into the enemy jungle, trying to cut him off. A 1-for-1 trade, but the proactivity going to LCK Super Team, meaning that they get the first blood.
Yeah, that taunt barely missed landing in time to save Mortar's life. I will say, unfortunately, as you said, it looked like a predictive Realm Warp there from Ascent, trying to assume that Yone would go into the jungle. Just took a different path. And I don't know if he would have had the resources to get a second kill there, but overall, I think it's a decent trade on both sides. Yone did get the kill, and Shen got it for Boise State. That's probably the only minor downside, but early on, you can't really be too nitpicky. It's a trade. It's a trade nonetheless, 1-for-1.
Yeah, Elodad using Stand United and not being forced to use the teleport in response means that No Flame may have just missed the opportunity to really capitalize and punish the absence of Shen in the top lane, but him getting the kill will really help him in this kind of CS disparity as it continues to develop.
I do think No Flame did get a turret plate while Elodad was gone. So then that is the explanation for the small gold lead that the LCK Super Team has. Boise State ended up with just a little bit more with the double assist, but yeah, he did end up getting that 1 plate, so he gets a little bit of a punish, but I think saving that teleport is huge because if a dragon fight breaks out, it is a mountain dragon, I believe. If that breaks out, Shen can get down there, so can No Flame. They both do have ways to stop the teleport, which is interesting. Uh-oh, here we go, but a nice dodge.
Nice dodge, another miscue, and another engage. Here comes the Rel combo, going to be stunned just for protection. No one's going to follow up just yet. The dive down will come out. No, it will not. They're going to continue to be a little bit more restrained. And as you mentioned, this is a nice run of pace. There's the engage that they're looking for. And the Magnet Storm will keep them in place as they get shredded apart. The flash taunt will go forward. Here comes the heal as well. Ezreal trying to get himself over the blast cone. But there is Mortar in the wings waiting. A slicing Maelstrom in the top lane, and there's action across the whole map, Fish.
I think that was Light Pulse, I believe, who got the great snipe on that blast cone to stop the Leona from getting away. A fantastic job, either Light Pulse or Mortar. I could not tell. I think it was Rel on the horse, but overall a great engagement, as you mentioned, the Magnet Storm, keeping them all in place. And I mean, Leona Light, better Leona. I mean, call her whatever you want. That's exactly
Horse Leona.
Yeah, Horse Leona. That's exactly what Boise State got in this Rel, and they played it perfectly in that fight. They set it up in a great spot, and they used, and this is something that, you know, Boise State has suffered a lot from, is teams have used their aggression against them. They used LCK's aggression against them. They're like, they know they want to make a play. Let's make them make a play right on top of Rel, who's the last person you want to be diving.
Yeah, and that was such a cool play as well from Light Post, having just patience, knowing that this could be a pretty good econ use of my abilities, sure. Waiting around and not going for the extended forced dive engage, and instead waiting to get 2 members in that Magnet Storm obviously proved dividends as we watch this replay.
It's just a great setup on the Magnet Storm. Heal does come out to
flash
save
stun
him.
too.
Who gets this blast cone is what I want to see. Oh, I think
it was Ezreal.
I think it was Ezreal. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
kind of just stopped the zone support.
I think Leona accidentally misclicked.
Yeah.
I think they maybe thought the blast cone was going to get hit earlier, because Leona looked like they were in position, and then they just quickly turned around and then put themselves in just the right position to where the blast cone didn't go. Maybe Leona was trying to hit it and misclicking on it and actually clicked on Rel. That could potentially be what happened. And now we see Boise State very early on. We actually get the double lane swap coming out here, which is interesting. I guess trying to stop Kennen from getting too many more plates.
Yeah, I mean, minimize it, maybe trying to protect the weaker tower and put emphasis. We saw Elodad force slicing Maelstrom as a defensive tool, preventing himself from being dived by Elodad. So looks like despite maybe this very combative top lane, that one kill is proving a lot of difficulty for this Kennen to deal with. Here comes another engage. Audacious charge, gonna get the stun with the Rel. Here comes the W. The winged hustler is here, and he will get another kill with the tip of the hat with the Gore Drinker. That will be a 2-1-2 Xin Zhao. But now they got a bounty on their head.
You take Lee Sin away from Mortar, he still makes some fantastic plays. It was a nice job here by Doubtful. He is going to steal that Shelly from Boise State and potentially give his Kennen a pair of plates. He was looking like he's flirting with it right now. There's no one for Boise State who can really get down there. The Realm Warp would be up for Ascent, but I don't think he's going to want to give up turret plates. He doesn't have teleport. Here we go. Here is Shelly. This is going to be a probably 3 plates given over to LCK Super Team, but Boise State didn't end up getting first tower, so this actually is going to be first tower for the LCK Super Team, which is a huge play for them to get back in that gold lead, or at least get some gold back.
Elodad completely conceding as well. It's a wise choice because just the sheer amount of damage from this Kennen, he doesn't have an AMR, and then the Lee Sin's just base damage and execute probably was going to be too much for him to survive. And now we see as things continue to settle, even though Boise State has a 4-1 kill lead, because of that plating, things are back to dead even.
You see the big difference is that 500 gold lead in the top lane for Kennen, mainly on the back of all of those plates they've picked up as the plates go down in about 30 seconds. Everything else pretty even. 200 gold lead for Boise State in the mid, in the jungle as we get an engage here.
Nice set of damage. Ezreal doesn't have to get themselves to safety. The Arcane Shift with the slow. Is this a fake Realm Warp or it's a real one? He gets himself back to base. Felt something in the wings and in the river was a Leona waiting to capitalize on the over-aggression. So good call, and I mean, ultimately when it comes down to it, there's no objectives here, so Realm Warps can be afforded to be used. It looks like an engage here, possibly in the mid lane. Leona's still waiting in the wings. Rel continuing to be a horse. There's no real horse there, by the way. Because Rel is an expert in Ferromancy, which is magnetism. Who knew?
Ooh, we might get something here, though. Mortar is a little ward, but it looks like Lee Sin had other ideas.
They assume he's still here. They don't have him in sight just yet. AFK basing. Mortar will be found out. Leona Solar Flare, but here comes the Stand United. Gets him out of safety. The Audacious Charge will only buy some more time. The taunt will come out. Where's the reinforcements? The bullet time's going to be huge. And the Magnet Storm to capitalize on it. Here's a period and an exclamation point and a double kill go over the Goblin.
It's a really good job by Boise State reacting in a pretty good way there too. Mortar, as you said, most likely looked like he got caught basing there. There was an interesting play where Doubtful's like, no, I don't really want to do this. And then Leonard's like, no, we're going in. We know where he
I
is.
use Solar Flare. We have to fight.
And then they end up getting caught out. I thought Elo Dad was dead in the water after that Stand United came out, and there was no backup. As we could take a look at this replay one more time. Yeah, Mortar gets caught shopping. Doesn't even get the Crescent Guard off until he's at like 30%. But a huge rotation over, starting with that double taunt. Goblin with a great bullet time into the Magnet Storm. Gets a great stun onto Lee Sin. Nothing he could do.
Yeah, not much. And again, we continue to see a lot of this rotation play style. We look at the build now that the gold's kind of accruing in both teams' pockets, and we again see that Youmuu's Ghostblade being afforded first.
Oh, nice
on the Shen. It's going to be an engage. He's going to be blown up before the slicing Maelstrom can even affect the forecast. Moving forward, though, Boise State has to respond to the second TP. A dive down, a crash down, and the damage and the health bars are going to dip down dangerously low for the LCK super team, and they are sent scurrying back to their base. A double kill picked up by Elo Dad.
Boise State overall goes 4 for 1. They do a great job landing that max range taunt onto Kennen, as you said, killing him before the slicing Maelstrom can even go out. I think besides that, it was just a really well-played fight by Boise State, and they have some fantastic tankiness just with that Rel, with that Magnet Storm. We're going to take a look at this once again. They annihilate that Kennen. We don't even get to see the Kennen in the replay. And look at Goblin. He's playing this so perfectly on the back line. He's doing everything he can to stop Yone from even getting close. Goblin doesn't take a point of damage. We said he was the main purpose.
He's
in this
the anime protagonist.
He really has plot armor beyond his wildest dreams. That is so well played from Goblin. Now he's got to do it probably 7 to 8 to 9 more times for them to win, unfortunately, because that is just the game of League of Legends.
Yeah.
But that is just a great demonstration of his pathing and staying out of harm's way at all times while still just doing damage on whoever's closest.
And it's kind of a mixed effort. I felt like, as we mentioned before, this support, this Leona Soli, is on a different page entirely, because you saw Leona having access to backlines with no follow-up. That could be something that needs improvements or adjustments either mid-game or in between these two games. But Boise State is just firing on, if not all cylinders, most of them right now, and they're going to continue to do so. We see the beginning of Eclipse coming out for Goblin, which still affords you the movement speed, the shield, gives you some lifesteal and some lethality to do just massive work with the ulti. I don't intend, I don't see on anyone intending building armor on this LCK super team, sans maybe Leona, and at that point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the Eclipse. I think that even though Goblin played that last light folk perfectly, it just, you're putting too much, stock into your own mechanics. Why not just take the items that give you a free bailout in the Shield Bow, in the Gale Force, as opposed to trying to min-max your damage? I don't think this is necessarily a team where Boise State's like, well, if we don't do enough damage, we're not going to break through the Yone. Meanwhile, though,
They're kicking the slicing Maelstrom. They don't even afford the Lee Sin kick just yet. He gets himself away just in time for the Stand United. The kick will be blocked. There cannot be any follow-up. He actually goes for the ward dash, and Ascent reads him like a book. The Solar Flare across the map, though. Here's the engage. They found Goblin. Can he get himself to safety? The positioning is perfect. Gets himself back out of dodge, and the front line is there to protect him. And despite the best efforts from a cross-map play from this LCK super team, Boise State is completely on alarm.
it was a fantastic play by Ascent in the bot lane, dodging that Q from the Lee Sin. And I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, you know, this Shen pick is something that has been so powerful in the hands of so many different Boise State top laners. And then we just see why Shen is so strong. And now you have to wonder, you know, as we, I don't want to look ahead to game 2 because there's still a lot of play left, but we saw the Gangplank and the Camille ban. Now do you have to factor in the Shen? Because Elo Dad, I mean, this game's 11-2. If Elo Dad's on anything but Shen, it's probably like 10-4. Boise State has gotten so many kills thanks to that Stand United turning fights that they have no business winning. I'm very curious how LCK Super Team is going to play on this because they want to get aggressive. You just can never do that when there's a Shen in the game.
Ooh, the Mastery 7 coming out. Tier 1
Flexing.
tower mid looking to be the next target for the Boise State Broncos, sending all but one member here. Elo Dad continuing to isolate themselves, such as a top laner would. It's such a lonely island up there.
It really is. You know, 1 is the loneliest number, and that really only refers to top lane because no one else ever wants to go up there No one ever wants to help, especially, I honestly think that this is more towards No Flame. No one wants to go help against a Shen.
Right.
When you're a melee jungler, you're like, I don't want to deal with that.
It's going to hurt me.
You have a full melee comp besides the Ezreal. I mean, no one can really help you because Shen's just going to taunt you and laugh at you as he walks away. So I think this Shen pick really might be the hidden MVP, and I'll be curious as we get later into fights what Elo Dad's going to do. Is he going to look to make plays on the back line and try and land taunts onto Yone? Is he going to maybe try and just stand united on top of Goblin? Boise State has really put themselves in a great position. You see CS across the board. Boise State basically in control or even in almost every single spot. I mean, slight lead in the bot lane, slight lead in the mid, but it's all within 20 CS. So it's really not that big of a lead. But overall, Boise State's built themselves a 3K gold lead. I do think LCK early game outplayed Boise State, especially in the micro of getting turret plates, and that's why this game, even at 11-2, is still barely just, a 3K gold lead.
Right. I do wonder, though, a point of criticism as we see a top lane exchange go drastically in Elo Dad's favor. Yeah, that man's got damage and a lot of it, but the 2v1 could be the turning of the tide. The taunt under tower will miss. Make it a 3 versus 1. Elo Dad will stand the test of time and continue to turn ones away. They're sending all 5 members up here just for Elo Dad. Can he get himself the safety? He gets himself taunted and kicked to safety. The teleport coming through means that they're not done fighting just yet, but the burst will be there. Stand United will be canceled as Ascent will instantly drop. A second TP, this one from Kennen. A 1 versus 5 in the top lane, but the Dragon will be traded in kind. The rest of the Boise State members are here. Can they get there in time? The damage, the Magnet Storm, and here comes the bullet time. Boo, 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 boo!
I'll be honest, I didn't really like that play for Boise State. They made that. I mean, you just trade Dragon that puts you on soul point. You trade that for that top tower. They're not going to dive Elo Dad under an inhibitor tower, and if they do, then you can all back. Boise State had a free Dragon. Unfortunately, they wanted to make a play. I don't think they expected all 5 members to go up there. I know Kennen was bot lane. I don't know if they expected that, but that just felt like Boise State trying to make too much. I would have much rather just seen take the Dragon, come out with this, because Ascent just gets absolutely annihilated. Elo Dad tries to save him, goes down as well, and then you just stay too long here if you're Klexo with a great Magnet Storm from this rel.
Bullet time there, and at this point I think, yeah, you say, stop chasing, clear the way, maybe get it started for a slow push. What I was trying to emphasize on is, despite the obvious members from Boise State being frontline, beefy, and tanky, we see the Trinity Force Ezreal come out, as opposed to the Divine Sunderer, which, in my opinion, would have so much more success because of the nature of the item. It does that percentile health damage, it gives them some sustain, and it's a lot of burst against anyone else.
Yeah, the Trinity Force, I mean, obviously, I know we saw, I think, got pulled out in Worlds today by Tactical.
That Ezreal didn't win.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that might be something. I mean, I think the Trinity Force does kind of lend into the spam where you just want to throw it down in kind of a poke comp. Because you mentioned how much damage the Kennen Q can do, so maybe you're looking for like a Kennen Q as
even
real
then,
Q
though, right?
spam.
You just want to burst with Divine Sunderer.
Uh-oh.
Engage on the Jun Zhao. It's going to be a dive. He waits to pop the ulti to get some damage. And the amount with the bullet time is going to be huge. Boise State gets the bait and switch. Yone ult coming out. Going to do a lot of damage and pop the shield bow, but no member can do enough damage. Boise State is clumped together, and they're turning towards the Baron.
Just another fantastic clinic here by Goblin. Put himself in just such a great spot. Dodges the Yone ult. Really knows the only person in that fight who can kill him is the Yone, with Kennen not available because they had already used that teleport on that very aggressive play. So Boise State should get the free Baron. Does look like maybe we get a contest here from Doubtful.
They don't have the best Baron team, but the stun and CC from Light Pulse will keep things at bay for a moment. Someone trying to look over the wall. Got to block this Q. They're going to dash over instead.
Now you're starting to wonder if Baron's going to be taken out.
The taunt was using it over this wall. They can't stop this Lee Sin unless they just kill him.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage came out. It just misses. Yeah, as you said, not the best Baron team, but I think Boise State did do a really good job of knowing as long as someone's attacking it, we just have to kill that Lee Sin, because Lee Sin is one of the best Baron stealers in the game. You combo his Smite with his Q1 and Q2. It does absolutely so much damage. You can catch a normal jungler off guard. So I like that play. You set yourself up perfectly. You're waiting for Cloud Soul, which is honestly kind of nice. I like the Rel getting the movement speed plus Ascent getting the movement speed when they ult if they get that Cloud Soul. But, I mean, obviously it's Cloud Soul. It's a very meh soul. I know a lot of people are kind of like,
I think Mortar's building GA third item on a jungler, which is Very atypical, right?
He wants to go in, though.
Yeah, he 100% wants to go in, and more power to you, because I think that when you have an advantage, 3, 2, and 10, you push it. But we often see these kind of bruiser playstyles go for, like, the Sterix Gauge into the Black Cleaver, or maybe some more defensive items. No, he's going full send. Here comes the Solar Flare. Speaking of full send, they're going to go and engage, but the bullet time's going to be able to slice them up in half. Slicing Maelstrom with the Zonias will be able to get the full channel off, but is it enough to dive on the backline? And Goblin again cannot be touched as Boise State cashes in on a second double kill for Goblin and send LCK Super Team back home.
It's a great job there. Leona has picked up on Goblin's positioning. Leona used the Solar Flare into the Zenith Blade stun just to try and stop that bullet time, but it wasn't enough. As you mentioned, do we see another fight here?
The dive, the crash down, the damage, and it's all for naught as Goblin is legendary. And it looks like Boise State may have picked up a few tips from their last games. They really crunched the numbers and said, hey, guys, if we just protect our carry, they can carry.
Goblin has also played a phenomenal game.
Yeah,
8-0-7 on the Misfortune. Absolutely fantastic. Even with that Eclipse, who needs defensive items? Boise State using the last minute of this crucial Baron to just kind of shove down every single lane here. And now it's
Realm Warp to safety, perhaps?
Probably.
But this entire time, it's a bait and switch. They're going to cash in on the Dragon Soul, knowing that Lee Sin was top side. He did Realm Warp to safety.
Yeah, he did pop Realm Warp to safety. I don't think anyone on LCK, they're not even going to contest this.
Can't, and it looks like even Mortar wants to be the defensive line to stop any sort of eyes peeking at it. So that's a free Dragon Soul over to Boise State.
Probably, we're getting close to last fight territory here if the LCK Super Team. You don't have an inhibitor in the bot lane. That top inhibitor turret's probably one shot, if not two shot, and then, of course, the inhibitor doesn't really have any defensive in front of it. Boise State's got that 10K gold lead. We talked about Boise State not getting aggressive. Now's the time where you don't need to be aggressive, but you can definitely be the aggressor in terms of taking fights. I don't want to see you camp a blue buff and try and catch someone off guard, but if Light Pulse sees an opportunity, I want to see him go in with this Magnet Storm, just end this game, because we know what Yone can do.
Yeah, at this moment, we just have to watch Boise State smack the enemy team with their pocketbooks. Their wallets need to come out, and that's going to be the weapon of choice moving forward, because they've actually extended and grown this gold lead to, I think, about 5,000. Engage on Rel, nice try, guy. Not going to do too much there. They continue to deny vision ward after ward. They are going to continue to put some emphasis on Light Pulse, forcing the crash down to safety, and Elodan will dive. They're going to get the mid-tier 3 tower, but the engage on the backline could be huge. They do have access to MF, but again, Goblin's positioning is going to be perfect. The ulti will be there for the zoning opportunity, but the rest of the members from Boise State will dive forward under the tier 4 towers and completely obliterate the front line here from the LCK Super Team. Boise State looking for the ace. They cannot get it as he's sitting under plate, but they'll take the 4 for 0 for free. Lee Sin looking for something.
Make a play.
They still have kick. He gets instantly stunned as he lands, but does he have the opportunity to land the Q? No! The Broncos will pick up an ace, and they will take game 1.
Fantastic job by Boise State. They played that game so well. They didn't get aggressive early on. They picked and chose their spots when they needed to, and really, Elodad on that Shen was phenomenal.
Whew. That was a spicy way to end. We talked about how there were some moments of criticism for both these teams to really kind of extenuate their lead, but it doesn't matter. They were all able to figure things out. Folks, do you have plans for Halloween? If you're in the Boise area and you don't want to miss the Boise State Esports Halloween party right here in the arena, presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, we got fighting games, we got some racing games, cosplay competition maybe. I might bring some prizes, I don't know. Food and tons of prizes and more. You'll want to RSVP to hold your spot at boisestate.edu/esports. I'm going to do it, I think, right after this cast.
You probably should. That's going to be a ton of fun. Halloween on a Sunday always kind of loses some of the oomph. So, back it up a day, put it on Saturday so you can have some fun. Gonna be great. But right now we're having a ton of fun with Boise State. That's a fantastic game, number 1. I thought they played that perfectly. I think that Shen is going to be a very, very interesting decision in our next draft when it comes up.
Yeah, it's another question, the ban, the draft phase. But the bigger question is, do they want to stay on the same side? Does this LCK Super Team opt for red pick on game 2? or do they want to continue to stay on blue, maybe pick out a different champion, maybe play the comp just a little bit different? Because we've seen this work for many different teams so far in this tournament, but we will have to see. That is going to do it for Game 1. We'll take a quick break and come back for Game 2.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. Boise State is kicking off their League of Legends season in this UAL against the LCK Super Team with a Map 1 win, and in a commanding fashion at that. There were huge strides and improvement from what we've seen in the past, and a huge catalyst for this would be the combination of Elo Dad just being that staunched force, the one that couldn't be stopped, and Goblin's insane positioning.
Those were absolutely the two biggest reasons why. And I think the rest of the Boise State team, I mean, again, they don't get the shots, but they played so well. I thought Light Pulse on that rail was a fantastic fit, basically being the aggressor. Again, they took the Leona away from him. He's like, okay, I'll just play the different version of Leona. I mean, we had so many different nicknames for it. And I thought Ascent did a fantastic job. That was clearly planned. We talked about it all along. Klexo has a ton of games on Yone and very good stats as well from what I remember seeing on his OPGG. So the fact that they're like, hey, let's get that Yone through. I'm just going to pick up this Rise. I'm going to play incredibly safe and just basically be an annoying pest, not let this Yone do anything. I won't die. He won't die, but he's not going to get fed at all. I thought that was a fantastic game plan for Boise State, and the thing I love the most is the first 15 minutes were, for a caster, painfully slow, but it was exactly what Boise State needed to do to not get too far behind.
Yeah, keep the pacing simple. And again, just a reminder for the rules for tonight. It is a best of 3, so Boise State is one map away from taking this home. It is a 5v5 still on the Summoner's Rift. Vex is still available for draft. Boise State was red side for Game 1. We'll have to see whether or not the LCK Super Team wants to take that away from them in Game 2.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point right before we went to break, Baratel, and that is usually when you lose, you pick blue side. It's just kind of been always that way. Though the stats are a lot closer now than they used to be in the past. But what does LCK do? They just lost on blue side. Do they pick it again? And I'll be interested because, I mean, you look at it, and the very obvious thing that stands out is you pick blue side, you're going to get that Lee Sin pick, most likely. Unless Boise State wants to ban it, which they didn't really seem like they wanted to. They're clearly content giving Mortar that Xin Zhao and letting him make plays. So now you wonder, well, how about that double pick that Boise State was able to pull off with the Xin Zhao into the rel? Is that something the LCK maybe wants, where they are going to say, okay, you can have the Lee Sin, but we'll get a double pick something that maybe you played that we wanted to take away from you? So I would expect LCK to keep blue, just because I think in everyone's mind they're like blue side, best side. But it is interesting when you lose on blue side, you don't really have a way to turn things around all of a sudden by choosing a different side if you want to stick on blue.
And again, here is the lineup for the Boise State Broncos. Elodad rocking the top lane. Mortar, the wing hustler there in the jungle. Ascent, the one containing the scroll with the world-ending spell. There in the mid lane, Goblin with the perfect positioning and the bullets to spare in the ADC role. And Light Pulse, the stalwart defender of the Boise State team, on horse or otherwise.
I'm really curious.
I don't know if those are official titles, by the way.
They did pick. It looks like they did pick the swap, by the way.
They did swap it out for red team, and it's definitely possible for teams to have a red side comp in mind. And if you have the blue team, the blue side first pick, you always want to maybe switch it up to try and alleviate going for a second comp. We'll have to see.
I mean, I like the Yumi ban. There's that Rumble ban early on from LCK. I'm curious if Boise State's going to change anything, or if they just kind of take away the same picks as last time. Wouldn't it shock me if I was going to say maybe the Thresh. There's that Lucian to deny. That is the one thing I do like on red side, if you can sneak the double pick Lucian Nami right off the rip.
Right.
That's always a good one, but it looks like Boise State's not going to have any of that. Now here's the question mark. What does Boise State want to do at jungle? They're going to leave the Lee Sin up, so the question becomes, LCK,
do you ban it here?
Do you ban it here? Do you know Mortar's first picking it? They're just going to take it away. I would expect the Xin Zhao to be locked in here.
I think that's fair. But again, that just leaves more emphasis on the rest of the picks. We have the talent available in the pool. We have the Xin Zhao we've already seen pop off. Misfortune being such a priority pick because of the utility she offers, it's going to be a mainstay unless it gets banned away. And with the way that Goblin's playing tonight, I think it might be worth it if somehow LCK can get this to game 3.
This is my one concern is, I don't know if LCK would have picked the Misfortune here if you swap these. You go Xin Zhao first and then into the Misfortune in your second and third pick. I don't really know how LCK would have prioritized that, and maybe they could have gone Misfortune in a support. So we'll see if trading the Misfortune for the Xin Zhao is the right play. As you mentioned, Talon's still available in the pool. I know Kindred's something that's always sort of in maybe the back pocket for Mortar, something he has a lot of solo queue success with, hasn't really played too much for Boise State. And there's that LeBlanc pick as well, so LCK just wants to get their power rules out of the way. That LeBlanc was banned last time. Curious if Boise State will now opt to pick a mid here in the first phase so that they don't give LCK additional bans.
Here's what they need to do. 5 ADCs. Kindred jungle, Corki mid, Ashe support, Vayne top, perfect. Or Akshan in any of those roles, I guess.
I think against the Xin Zhao, you would have a lot of issues. There's the Kiana. That's something you mentioned last time.
We had talked about. It definitely fills the Lee Sin-esque role of finding picks.
Yeah.
But instead of kicking one person to their doom, you throw possibly 5 people into a wall, and then that's their doom.
I'm going to curious how much. It's going to be hard to knock a LeBlanc into the wall because LeBlanc is going to have so much mobility.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm curious if this is a mid pick for Boise State, because if you
mid
don't pick
Kiana?
mid, well, no, just this third pick here. No, I don't think Kiana's the mid pick. No, if the third pick is a mid pick, because if you don't pick mid here, you're going to open yourself up. Okay, multiple bans. The Syndra pick first.
Okay.
All right.
A great response to the LeBlanc and the Xin Zhao. Both the, what is it? The damage from power overwhelming, just a fantastic ultimate in and of itself, but the force shove, it's
the force of will.
Is it force of will? It might be. Regardless, I'll find out in between these this break if I ever find one. But it's a great response, right? Because if you get just the natural ability itself without any of the orbs to enhance it, it is a disengage. It shoves back any sort of dash that both LeBlanc as well as Leona and Xin Zhao have. But if you have any sort of orbs there, even from ulting, that force of will is going to be huge for denying with that stun.
I'm curious how, Boise State has clearly got to go tanky in the second phase of this draft, especially with a LeBlanc. The Rel band, very smart from the LCK, going to maybe take a light pulse off of that playmaking support. So very interesting to go with the Syndra mid pick, kind of open yourself up probably to a support ban and maybe a top ban, but also at top, maybe you ban Camille here if you're LCK in your next ban.
I think they have to take away either GP or Camille.
I think you want GP in this comp, right? Because that just means Boise State was going to have one tank. You want to maybe
want
leave
him
that.
to play it?
Yeah, because I think you want to leave. You want Boise State to be as dive happy as possible with Leona, with LeBlanc.
I don't know, man. New GP does an insane amount of damage.
Oh, there's the Moo band.
This can't be two Amumu
I don't
bands.
think there's two Amumu. There we go.
Okay.
The Amumu is interesting. It's something that I know Boise State likes to play against.
It's like a pseudo tank support, right?
It is. It fits that role. I'm curious where Boise State will go. I mean, that Nautilus, we kind of fit that Rel, Leona,
Brahms available,
Engage.
works well with Misfortune, All-Star to some extent, if feeling brave. A Tristana band coming out, Tristana maybe being one of the ADCs they like to play. I've seen Extorted only play like Vayne. Maybe they'll pop out the Ziggs here, I don't know, but double AP is going to be pretty tough. Xin Zhao going to have to be the physical damage force if that does end up happening.
You just want to take away anyone with
This is
escapability as well. You're trying if you want your Kiana to get great value, you can't allow Rocket Jump to be in
I
that
think
game.
Elodad has a perfect opportunity to play Set this game.
Set is so strong, and you can just, I mean, the champion's absolutely unbalanced.
He's not fair.
I like picking your ADC here. You're keeping your top lane in wraps. You do get the free counter pick on whatever Boise State wants to do here.
Right. But as we've seen before, Elodad, with the way that they play Set, it's kind of it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Counter pick or not. I mean, we even just saw him
Set doesn't matter.
keep up in pace in gold with Kennen, a ranged carry versus the tank.
All-Star.
And there's the All-Star.
Again, I like the Boise State lineup of putting a lot of damage, and now you need your beefy front line. I would fully expect this to be Set.
Or it's going to be a carry. It's either
Set
be
or Camille. Yeah, those are my
Camille,
two guesses.
Set.
But I think the Camille, I mean, the
GP
Camille
last.
could be kind of tanky just in her own right with her passive.
Right. And then think about it, right? Hextech Ultimatum with the bullet time doesn't matter.
Oh, they do get the
They
GP.
actually let the
wow.
GP through. Okay.
That is, I mean, Boise State, you said they have a lot of damage.
Yeah,
a
they
lot
have
of,
a
they can
lot of
eliminate LCK from the map in a heartbeat. The question is, can all that damage stay alive against the likes of a LeBlanc, against the Leona, who's going to want to get on top? If you final pick here for the LCK.
What do they pick here? Do they pick another Kennen? Kennen would
I
fit
do
very
like
interestingly into this comp. And then with the fact that they have 2 AP damage sources.
Can Kennen survive this comp, though? Kennen couldn't survive last comp.
Malphite
That's a better
versus
Kennen,
GP.
honestly.
So
Instead of
this
the
is
slicing
full press
Maelstrom,
R.
you get instead of slicing Maelstrom getting that stun, you get the knock up on the unstoppable force
I think that's
into a
wise.
solar flare.
We saw 2 instances in which Kennen tried and had the intention for a full ulti and got snuffed out of life.
Yeah.
Malphite will get his ulti off regardless and then maybe die. Who knows?
That was my one concern. It's like, well, Kennen's just going to go pop. Like we saw last game when there was not as much damage, Kennen just kind of went gone.
Right.
And so I do like the Malphite pick. I really like this LCK pick, and it is basically 2 contrasting styles. It is Boise State is full go. They want a full send. They want to hop on top of you, eliminate you, and I think they have a lot of different damage sources that are going to make it very hard for the LCK to shut them all down, especially with the way Goblin played in game number 1. His positioning was fantastic.
Yeah.
You throw in the Syndra, who's going to have an insane burst, as you mentioned, maybe one of the most burst-happy mages, and Boise State can kind of spread all that damage out. But we talk about that after Doc gives us his keys.
Yeah, Doc's keys of the game, again, for League of Legends, is going to be focus a strong comp. Play to your comp. I mean, I think both these teams have done that. Remember your win condition and dragon control. Boise State doing a fantastic job for that last time. We'll have to see whether or not they continue to afford that moving forward. And, of course, Doc's keys of the game are brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran like myself, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com.
Playing to your comp is going to be really hard for Boise State, though.
Do
because,
you?
Well,
Do you
because
think so?
their comp is just kill everyone. There's no rhyme or reason with this comp. It's just do a ton of damage.
This. Boise State has some very crucial hard CC, and they have 2 huge abilities to help them land it. Make It Rain and the Cannon Barrage. Those 2 AoE slows give the opportunity for the Kiana to get in great position. For the All-Star to not even have to flash headbutt pulverize combo. He can just walk up and do his combo. And then gives the scatters the weak the name of the ability I found out. A huge opportunity to land on multiple prime targets. So it's all about execution. If Boise State finds themselves pigeonholed and they're not the proactive team, the LCK super team has a draft to completely rip asunder the health bars from Boise State. But it's all a matter of proactivity.
I agree with you 100%, and I think Boise State, they have to be proactive. They also have to be very, very spread out, right?
True.
Because
I
think you can't be clumped, especially against the Malphite. I think the Jhin pick is kind of weird. I don't like the lack of mobility on an AD carry against a team. And this should have been a game for Ezreal, right? You're just trying to flash away, Essence Flux away, just stay out of range. So the Jhin being so just grounded is going to be very, very interesting for the LCK. But yeah, if Malphite gets a huge ult, if No Flame lands a huge ult, he's absolutely going to win this team fight for LCK and easily get us to a game 3. So maybe you try and shut him down early. Maybe you try and get in his head. I mean, maybe the final chance for you to say something in all chat with that going away here in the upcoming patch. Maybe this is the last time to remind him.
Good riddance. By the way, that cowbell terrified me. When things are hyphy, I know the cowbell's coming.
Yeah.
When it's random, I actually had like heart attack. We're good now. It could be the respawn too, but
I mean, it is spooky season. So anytime like a noise comes out, you're like, what was that?
Yeah. What was happening there? But what's interesting too is they don't have to force as much resources to stop the bullet time. It's simply just an unstoppable force.
You press R on Malphite.
And then even so, Xin Zhao can face tank that for the whole duration pretty much. The ultis kind of have that similar duration, and that Xin Zhao ultimate can kind of absorb that as a frontliner. But the way that Boise State has those kind of, I guess you could say, pseudo melee champions, GP kind of fluctuates between the two, ranged and melee. Xin Zhao is going to have a hard time sticking to anybody, I think.
Yeah, I think the bigger question here is also just, how much damage can Boise State sustain? Because if Malphite jumps on top of you, all Xin Zhao has to do is get there. All the Jhin has to do, I mean, basically, we talked about the Wombo combo for Boise State. The Wombo combo for the LCK is Unstoppable Force into Curtain Call. Yeah. And that's all they're going to have to do, and they're just going to pepper shots at you. Hopefully you're clumped up. So this could be a game where maybe we let Goblin out on his own. I'm very curious who Light Pulse is going to want to find, maybe kind of follow around. Is he going to want to try and dive in on that back line? And we could have a situation like we saw against Northeastern, as we saw against Texas, where, Elo Dad and Mortar and Ascent are going to be on the back line. Goblin's going to fall, and then, the three members of the LCK are going to kind of meet back up in the middle. We're going to have basically a back to front, right back into each other and headbanging again. So I think that could also be maybe Boise State's win, is just kind of leave Goblin out to dry and say, we're going to fight them back to front. We're going to pick the Jhin. We're going to see if we can maybe get a sneaky pick onto LeBlanc when she teleports back in with her W. And that's maybe how Boise State wins, is almost using Goblin as bait. And it's like, sorry, Goblin, your KD's going to suffer. You're not going to have good stats. But that's because you're basically the sacrificial lamb. If you get the Unstoppable Force out, if you get the Curtain Call out, if you get the Solar Flare out, that back line of Boise State with the Gangplank and the Syndra are just going to say, okay, it's open season, have fun.
What's niche about this as well is this is going to be really convoluted, but bear with me. Stick with me as much as you can. GP is punished easily by champions that have access to attack resets or just naturally high attack speed. Jhin, unfortunately, is not one of those champions, especially with his innate ability and requirement to reload every fourth shot. Beyond that, I think Boise State also had an opportunity. Yes, All-Star is going to be a prime engaged tool. Boise State had a huge opportunity to draft a Zyra support instead for the exact same reason. Having so many different threats, even minuscule as a plant or a barrel, for the LCK super team to auto-attack with non-optimized champions is a great resource for them to maybe pull a little bit of distractionary tactic. They have to focus the barrel because it's a barrel, or if they don't, they suffer the consequences of letting it go off. So something to keep in mind, the team fight, if played well by Elodad, the barrel placement is going to be huge. As we do, again, watch Game 2 of Boise State versus the LCK super team. It'll never stop making me laugh. It's the greatest name ever. And it's like probably the easiest icon we've ever got on production because it's already existing.
Exactly. Production had a very, very easy time of just saying, oh, okay, just grab the LCK logo. But we hop into the game. You see here, nothing too crazy. Goblin this time did opt for the press the attack and the heal. So he's not as worried as about getting jumped on, and exhaust, of course, not going to have as much of an effect on an LeBlanc onto a you know, the top laner there or the Xin Zhao.
Malphite?
So, yeah, I was like, I wanted to call him like Morn. I was like, it's not Orn, and I know his name starts with an M.
I always remember his name by putting an Australian accent when I say it.
I don't even want to know. I'm going to be honest.
It's
I'm not-
Malphite. Watch
yeah.
out for the Malphite.
Yeah, I didn't want to give you that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it's here.
I like
Corruption Potion start for both top laners is weird.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know Corrupting Potion with Gangplank is just so strong.
Both of those two champions have very spammable Qs, so I guess that's the intention behind it.
I like the Doran's Ring personally, if that's
For
what
Malphite?
Yeah, if No Flame wants to do that,
Yeah.
is get the Doran's Ring and the health potions, and then maybe that's what his first back will be, because with that comment, you can just kind of spam your Q
Right.
endlessly on Elo Dad. I do want to see where Mortar is going to go, as we do get an invade here from
Very
the
late,
LCK
too.
Super Team. It's very late. They do get spotted out by Ascent, and unfortunately, knock knock.
Gonna be there.
Lights are off. There's no candy at the door.
They take the red, but does that force horizontal jungling? And then, even so, this is kind of risky for Boise State to allow this without gaining vision further on Xin Zhao, because Xin Zhao is a very good level 2 ganker, especially with the red buff.
I know Ascent walked over there. I didn't see any pings come out, but I would think they would be aware that that happened. Oh, great skin choice, by the way, by Elodad. Someone in the chat was calling it.
There's the engage, the flash engage. No pulverize there besides the combo, but it's going to be a nice trade. Forcing Jin with just the boots to suffer damage early on in this lane is going to be huge because of the fact that he doesn't have the natural sustain, doesn't have the Doran's Blade, has no coal, and have to rely simply on the potions, which are expendable.
And then we see
Huge grass proc. Also nerfed, by the way.
Yeah, Gangplank.
This is post-nerf GP grass.
Fun and engaging, walk around until grass parks, hit parlay, do that over again, over and over and over. We did not actually get the vertical jungling, so surprisingly, Boise State is going to give Doubtful a 3-buff start, which I swore Ascent saw that. I swore Ascent saw all 4 of them. He must have missed it by like a fraction. We did not get, the non-fog of war view.
Right. It's possible he didn't miss it, or
he just maybe assumed that,
maybe
like,
he didn't assume. Yeah, maybe they retreated after the failed invade, but
that's crazy.
That's a pretty risky thing to assume.
Yeah, that puts.
And actually, Jin having this fleet footwork will give him a bit of sustain here in lane, but having the immobility in natural kit by himself, and then the fact that the Make It Rain gives All-Star prime access to the Jin. Why did they draft Jin and Xin Zhao, by the way?
I don't know why they drafted Jin. I'm very curious.
They just want me to suffer.
Yeah, they want Extorted to suffer as well, because I just don't think that the Jin into this comp is very good.
What ADC would you pick?
I mean, the answer wasn't bad last time, right?
I think he didn't have any agency personally.
But, I mean, again, you have to look at the team. I mean, when you're picking into Kiana, Syndra, Misfortune,
right,
that's when you realize, oh, here we go, Hex Flash.
Hex Flash, Pulverize, Headbutt combo this time. It's the full Monty. The damage and the ignites there. Here comes the auto attack. And somehow, some way, Goblin has the longest attack range in the game. He'll pick up first blood.
It's a great job there. The Ignite landing from Light Pulse, cutting the heal down. But we're going to get a return gank here in the mid lane.
Has to save this. Force of will. Here comes the chains. Maybe a double chains in the wings of the Boise State bottom lane. And they got here in time. The sniffers are out. Boise State can smell blood in the water. And they'll pick up a second blood, maybe a third one as well. No. LeBlanc passive, too strong.
LeBlanc flash too strong.
Yeah,
LeBlanc mobile. I did think the other problem is Mortar landed a knockup onto Klexko. He actually got a double knockup. They're going to go in.
Oh my gosh.
Another great stun. Well, what I was going to say is that Mortar landed the knockup. Or not Mortar, sorry. Light Pulse landed the knockup. Ascent actually landed a Q onto Klexko. I think Ascent wanted to go onto LeBlanc. They opted to go for the Xin Zhao. That's how LeBlanc got away. But again, we're gonna get just, you know what? If you can kill one,
says, I got one. I'm hungry for more.
I got 3.
It's gonna be a triple dive in the top lane. Malphite needs the base.
Teleport. Just channel the teleport.
It'll be stopped by the headbutt. Light Pulse is more than willing to sacrifice his life for this.
Now teleport. It's too late. You're dead.
Solely, you're a little too late, unfortunately. Boise State quickly turns
Here comes
up the
Xin Zhao,
heat.
though.
They're continuing that momentum. Xin Zhao a little bit too late for the party. No solar flare to start this engage, and Boise State will walk away with murder.
So 4 kills. All of them started by basically Light Pulse making a great play. That was a fantastic roll.
100% KP.
That was a great roam up, and I know that's something that I've talked to the Boise State coaches about, and it's something that they really like when Light Pulse can play champions, where he can make plays across the map, and that's exactly what he did. We see the gold lead here, 600 in the top lane, another 500 in the mid lane, another 500, and how about 600 in the bot lane? Absolutely great start. You already got a 2K gold lead. We're not even 6 minutes in.
6 minutes, yeah. That's,
holy moly.
That's a big one. And the cool thing about this is, with the way the All-Star is as a champion, oh gosh, it's 3v1. Oh, but look at who's here! The savior of the Boise State roster is back again! Not able to save the health bar from Ascent this time, but maybe able to turn things around for a return kill? No! A double kill will actually be given over, and this time it's going to be Doubtful picking it up for the LCK Super Team.
I will this is the problem that has plagued Boise State. Oh, they're going to get a teleport in here from Ascent. He wants to make a play, I think.
He wants to make sure that Dragon's not the next turning point. Him being here to pressure this is huge. Here comes the ward. This is out. The distortion can be rewound. Not going to be able to dodge this, though. Has to use the ulti distortion. Picks up some of those honey fruit. Engage here. It's going to be solely versus this, and Mortar's going to be caught in a 1 versus 4. Be punished there for the over-aggression. Maybe a little bit of a different Pages situation, as we see Light Pulse here, but unfortunately Ascent was not on the rotationary path. Looking for an opportunity. Power overwhelming. Doesn't even need it. We'll get a solo kill here. And now look at Goblin. He's going to slow things up for his team, and he's looking in the face of 3 huge members from LCK Super Team. Flash forward for the auto. He's going to another make it rain here in the next couple of seconds.
Ooh,
the stun will land through the wall. Ignite will tick down, and Doubtful will doubtfully live through this. And a triple kill being picked up for Ascent. I think that's worth the TP anytime.
And Boise State, I mean, they end up coming out pretty even in that. I think they ended up trading overall 3 kills, maybe 2 kills for 3. But this is something that's plagued Boise State a lot, and this is something that we were really praising them in their other games, was just playing passive. Don't over-pursue. This is a great double kill here. The nice flash forward. Not only to get the auto attack, it gets Goblin away from Extorted and closer to Doubtful so he can run to his team. So I really like that flash by Goblin in a lot of different ways. But Boise State, they're not getting punished, but they're getting very aggressive, and they've given up 3 kills that should have not happened. Boise State just needs to take their foot off the gas a little bit, man. Just go the speed limit right now. You have such command. You don't need to run the risk of getting pulled over and getting that big ticket. You already have a huge lead. You're ahead of traffic. Don't get yourself caught trying to get further ahead.
All the euphemisms possible. There's a speed limit on this game.
There is. Just go 55 sometimes, man. Enjoy the scenery.
I can't drive 55.
Just enjoy the.
For those that know the song, you're awesome.
Yeah, you lost me there.
You don't listen to classic rock?
No, I was born in the 90s.
Speaking of classic rock, Malphite in the top lane, not doing so well.
Nice
to the GP.
Transition.
Sometimes
is he going AP? Wait, hold on. Is he going AP?
Is
he going AP, Malphite?
He better.
That's a blasting rod. It's a random blasting rod, by the way. Like, no other context.
Just a blasting
rod.
Who needs boots? It builds into very interesting items nowadays, too.
Ooh,
trying to start the Hex Flash. Not able to result in anything, but Goblin is top lane to rotate to maybe defend this Scuttle Crab. LCK Super Team sets their sights on it, and looks like they will take it away with commanding fashion. In the bottom lane, Elodad will continue to use this true damage passive that for some reason Gangplank has on this tower. Nice stun. And the full combo. Power overwhelming.
Oh, nice.
They know what one was the real one because he saw the distortion target. Now it's going to be a hard guess. No one there to follow up suit. Goblin taking up some farm in the top lane. The dust will settle, but for a moment. Now Boise State realizes that something's afoot. The LCK Super Team gets caught mid Rift Herald. Here comes the engage. The Keanu ult's going to be huge with the bullet time to follow, but he's just out of range of the Xin Zhao ulti. Doesn't matter. The left and right clicks are going to be huge for the Xin Zhao as Doubtful dives the backside. And as we mentioned, he was able to withstand that full bullet time, much to the chagrin of Boise State.
They're still chasing down Ascent, though.
They're going to find him. Doubtful's going to be able to get in W range shortly. He's going to get turned around on, and unfortunately Ascent does not have the mana. Going to go for the execute. He has just a little bit too much health. Dodges one ability, goes for the scatter the weak, but no! Does not find it as another kill goes over, and shutdown gold is going to be cashed in on Doubtful. Look at this fight. We saw Boise State have the perfect double combo, but the bullet time was not able to get more than just the 1 kill. Going through Leona, super tanky, then that Jinja ultimate barely saved Doubtful's life. If instead he was within that circle or maybe waited for the ultimate to go back down, would have been a double kill easy.
Yeah, it was, you called it actually. The Crescent Guard and the bullet time have almost the same duration. So yeah, that Crescent Guard kept Doubtful alive the whole time. And again, Boise State just trying to make too many plays. Got the LCK super team right back in it. They get the nice stop here.
That was interesting. The headbutt extended the distortion. Here comes Jin Zhao though in the wings. Cannot stop this dive. Doubtful going to be able to go to the back line, but 3 members now for LCK Super Team are here. The All-Star ulti is popped. There goes the Solar Flare, but can he get himself to safety? The Mortar actually gets himself out with the stealth from the grass, picks up another one, and Boise State will turn that. And it shouldn't have gone that way. It looks like Malphite barely getting themselves in there in time. This is confirmed AP Malphite. I think this is...
No flame going out.
This is Luden's.
Yeah,
Luden's
this looks
Malphite.
like Luden's Malphite, which, I mean, we talked about, you know, that really the one thing that does help, and I mean, I don't think it's the overall right pick as much as I love AP Malphite, but the one thing it does help is it makes it so Malphite can kind of one-shot Goblin with just unstoppable force into the Seismic Shard. So now maybe you say, okay, we can turn our focus to the other members of Boise State. So maybe on paper it's not as meme as it looks, because now this Malphite can basically is putting himself in a position where No Flame can 1v1 Goblin. And I think that's exactly what you need if you're the LCK super team, so you can commit other resources to guys like Mortar and Ascent, who are a lot more squishy.
I was going to hold that question of susceptibility to being one-popped for the mythic item, but Kraken Slayer is going to be the optimal choice here for Goblin. I think maybe there could be time to consider
Gale Force would be my pick.
Gale Force could be good to dodge, or the Shield Bow would absorb the burst combo from the Malphite. Now, if this was Cho'Gath top lane, AP would be expected.
I really do like the pick. Like, the more I think about it, like, it really feels to me
He's like more of a threat.
LCK's plan is like I'm gonna one-shot Goblin on this Malphite.
Right. But here's another consideration. Malphite in this draft nullifies everyone but Ascent's damage.
Yeah.
You get 700 armor easily on that champion, and you just say, you guys don't do damage to me.
Yeah.
The base damage for the rest of my kit is huge, and I still have the ability to turn a team fight and stop your ultis. So it's a consideration. If maybe he went Dark Harvest, it may seem like a meme, but Dark Harvest with AP Malphite does give you that one-shot opportunity if you get enough stacks. I don't know. It's a desperation. It's actually going to be Everfrost, so that might be the call. He's acting as a pseudo-solar flare. He's going to get you there and get you knocked up, keep you there for the rest of the team to dive. And with the way that Doubtful is playing and is enabled to play with this gold lead, could be the opportune time to combo out that Everfrost ulti combo. Looks like Ascent might be dived here. Here comes Shelly, and not enough damage. The stun will only be there for a second. And actually, Shelly's charge got the kill, I believe. In the other side of the map, though, Squishy Malphite, AP otherwise, will be thrown into the wall 2 times and be shot up there with Elo Dad, that parlay coming through, and that extra true damage. But it's going to be a trade for top tier 2 and bottom tier 1.
I like this trade if you're Boise State.
100%.
Tier 2s are worth so much, especially early on, because Gangplank is one of those champions who can just split push the whole game. There's no problem with Elo Dad. Just basically now maybe he can go bot lane, shove out bot, get those towers. If he wants to try and look for an inhibitor in the top side, he can do that as well. So I do like them basically enabling a lot of lane freedom for Boise State. Trade that for that kill. I don't really know if there's any way for Ascent to even get out of that play. He had the teleport, but again, it can be stopped in a whole number of ways. So overall, I'll take the trade. You give up 1 tower for 1. And I still feel like Boise State is in pretty good spot, because I don't know if this Everfrost Malphite is what LCK wanted.
No boots.
Yeah, that's...
I guess. You need them. You use your ulti to move.
Exactly. It's going to come down to, once again, Goblin's positioning, though. And I really wonder, now the question becomes, especially with this AP Malphite, can anyone on LCK stop Elo Dad in a one-on-one? I mean, you look here, 140
it's just
CS.
doubtful.
Yeah, I mean, even though 140 CS, we've already got Essence Reaver and the Immortal Shield Bow done.
That's true.
Maybe Klexco can burst him?
No, not through Shield Bow. That's the thing I was about to mention, is the fact that besides Doubtful, there's not a lot of other players right now on the LCK Super Team that are in the driver's seat or can get themselves in that driver's seat. The only character that has agency in this game right now is going to be Doubtful, and it's going to be that way for a long time. LeBlanc's not getting any engages, can't pop anyone with just the one item. Maybe later on when they've gotten some farm they can. Jin, as you mentioned, is a questionable pick, not doing much for them either. Could not even start a team fight with that curtain call because they're not looking for it. And that's not how you play Jin. You play Jin to soft open for your hard engage. In a situation like this where you know Boise State is in your red side jungle, you pop the curtain call and wait for Doubtful, wait for Soli to get in position, and get your Malphite to get some damage down. LeBlanc needs to be flanking on the side or the back end to keep Goblin oppressed and preventing him from doing damage. And unfortunately, yes, there have been some misplays that have given over a bastion of hope to the LCK super team in Doubtful, but if that didn't happen, it would be very difficult, I would say, for Boise State to get themselves out of a position to win.
See here, everything kind of slows down for the time being. Boise State holding on to just shy, about 2.5K gold lead here. Light Pulse looking to make a ton of plays. We see there that big gold disparity in the jungle, almost 2,000 gold for Xin Zhao. Pretty big lead there. That's something Boise State's definitely going to have to watch out for.
Continue to base. Don't have anyone just yet here to soak this farm. Jin continuing to push. And this is smart too, though. When it comes down to being able to solo Elodad, I don't think it's necessary. You have LeBlanc that can continue to push in the wave. And then in this instance, of course, we have Ascent in the bottom lane. But imagine that this is GP. Forward, aggressive, thinking that they can 1v1 the LeBlanc, because assuredly they can. But then the jungler is there to make it a 2 versus 1. It's up to Boise State to realize that that's an opportunity and put pressure equal on the other side of the map. And Shelly's a great way to do it.
I do think the one thing that I think Boise State potentially is going for here with GP is they want an inhibitor turret. And I think the one thing is, you know, debate about super minions, gold, blah, blah, blah aside.
Nope.
There's not
ignore
good,
the video.
Well, there's not good wave clear on the LCK team.
Right.
I mean, LeBlanc is not a very good farmer unless you're Taberk somehow and you're power farming like nobody's business. But, I mean, Malphite, if you're AP, you have a little bit more sustain. We haven't seen anything besides the Everfrost. He goes steel cap, plated boots next. Xin Zhao, you don't want wave farming. We've talked about the auto shot mechanic and the ammo mechanic of Jin. There's not a great way to stop super minions. So yeah. I do like them saying, we want super minions in that top lane. We know no one can stop us, and now we're going to get a fight over this third dragon.
You know, not looking for somebody to shield the Daybreak was stunned. Here comes the W as well, Virtuoso or otherwise. Boise State looking to maybe concede this? They do. They didn't have the proper rotation, didn't have the members available at the time. Instead, they're going to maybe stop this engage. Here comes a curtain call. GP looking for an ultimate opportunity, but here comes the big combo there on Mortar, and they'll be instantly popped before they can even use their ultimate. Bullet time will be completely negated as they walk away from it. Doubtful in the back line will get himself under the tower and be popped. There's a 4 versus 4. Boise State doing something here. A double kill going over now to the LeBlanc. And Boise State will trade 2 for 1. Not done yet. Scout of the week. Looking for anything. Malphite doesn't have the ultimate, but there goes the Leon in the back line. Gets instantly popped by Elodad. The shield bow has been procced. He's able to super heal for about a few more moments. But Goblin, again, perfect position. Maybe the ultimate was a little bit lackluster. There goes the damage, though, with no follow-up. The stun just a little bit too late. Pops the clone. Jin going to go for anything there to dive forward. The flash WEQ. And unfortunately, Boise State will trade 3 for 2 at the end of it and lose the dragon.
Fortunately, Boise State got way too aggressive. They had a nice 2 for 2 trade, and then Goblin's going to end up getting way too close right here. This one was weird to me. I don't know if he was, because why does he walk forward there?
Maybe a misclick.
Maybe a misclick, yeah. If he keeps walking backwards and gets the orb block off and gets some auto attack, that's better. But that walk forward, Elodad barely living as well. We come back to real time with another great fight.
Mortar again being found out. This Xin Zhao just 2. Wow, okay. Wait a minute.
Oh.
Okay. I couldn't talk through that because there were so many pivotal things happening at one time, but will be finally capitalized by the All-Star. The damage is going to be huge as Goblin gets ripped apart Doubtful is 1v4ing right now, and here goes the Malphite to support it as well. Unstoppable Force will find this. A Shackdown giving over as Elodad will also fall. And Boise State will be found in their own jungle. And this time, Doubtful will be the one to initiate with some backup. That is a crucial win for the LCK Super Team.
And this is the one problem that I thought Boise State's team was going to have that is starting to plague them is there's not any tanks.
Yeah.
Boise State is just, and now look at this Xin Zhao. He's got the Gourd Drinker. He's got the Sterix Gauge. He is absolutely a huge menace. He's got a 2-level lead on Mortar as well. And now Solar Flare's going to land. That is
there goes
dead Syndra.
The damage combo, 2 versus 1. Syndra cannot play that out. And again, yeah, as you mentioned, when you go for this full damage team, you got to be able to do the damage. And being CC'd is going to be the bane of your existence for that. Mortar in that crucial dragon fight, even though LCK Super Team did grab the Drake, was CC'd to oblivion, could not even pop their own ultimate, which could have ultimately turned the time for the fight. So it's still possible for Boise State to get this through, but there's no way with the way that things are going currently for this bullet time to get the damage it needs to. There's no one being kept in place. You know, the CC's not able to be presented either by popping Mortar before he can land it. The GP ult's not being used on the bullet time combo. Whatever the case may be, this bullet time from MF is a game-defining ultimate, and it needs to be, I think, focused on enhancing its ability.
Boise State's comp was great. I just feel like they needed, you know, maybe you take away the Gangplank and you put a Camille, something that could be a little bit more tanky. Because right now, as you mentioned, they need to get Goblet's bullet time online, but the only way Boise State wins is with Light Pulse going in with a Headbutt Pulverized combo, hopefully knocking up 1 or 2 members, allowing them to get that CC for Elo, Dad, and Mortar to kind of shred the team apart with their damage, with the barrels, especially allowing, you know, Ascent as well with the Scatter of the Weak. But no one can stop Doubtful from just jumping on the back line. And that Crescent Guard, we see why it is so strong, and maybe why I think I would have rather had Xin Zhao first over the Misfortune, is he just goes invincible. So literally all sources of damage outside that Crescent Guard, and Boise State doesn't have a great melee comp to be able to say, okay, I'll sit on the Xin Zhao and I'll kill him. He's just getting full immunity while he chases down the Syndra or the Misfortune.
Common dangerously walking in the vision of LCK Super Team will be found out by that trap. There are some vision. Light Pulse going to be versus the LeBlanc 1v1, but it won't be 1v1 for long as the rest of Boise State's kind of collapse. Fortunately, it's a LeBlanc and they will just distortion over the wall, but that might be what needs to happen. Boise State needs to find themselves in a place where they have vision supremacy and look for these kind of cheeky pick opportunities.
They're looking for
like
one
this.
here.
They're looking for Leona. That's a dangerous target to try and go for. Will Mortar be able to get the ultimate off? I don't know. Just you have to get instantly popped. And there goes a crucial game-defining ultimate for Boise State. But the damage now on Klexo specifically is now online. Now this LeBlanc is a threat, and Boise State needs to play accordingly.
State looking to maybe make a play here. They do still have quite a few ults as the Gangplank Cannon Barrage will split the team up. This will be a huge chance here, but the Scatter of the Weak misses.
Goblin and Elo Dad are going to be access on the backline. Can they pop this Xin Zhao? No! The Sterix Gauge in addition to that Crescent Guard is going to be too huge. The bullet time is not even able to be used here. Elo Dad finding themselves an angle. There goes the All-Star instantly popped, and this is going to be 2 versus 2. We've seen this before. Boise State needs to play in tandem, whether or not they want to challenge this dragon or concede, it's a different story. It looks like the concession is going to be the ultimate choice, but I think in this situation where they're struggling to find a winning team fight, trading even isn't the worst thing.
No, I mean, I thought that was a great trade again. I think, you know, Light
Where
Pulse.
was the bullet time? I'm just curious.
Let's see.
I don't know if he got it.
Yeah, I think he never used it. It's still just sitting available. Just got dove immediately. Does look like Boise State is able to pick up that dragon in real time, though.
Okay.
And overall, yeah, trading even there is great. Probably should have been an actual beneficial trade. I mean, Light Pulse was looking for that Headbutt Pulverized hero play, and I think if he lands it, Boise State easily kills Extorted. But Light Pulse was just so low, he gets popped there with a nice little shot, plus that Collector just providing so much damage for the Jhin. But you're right, I mean, that Sterix Gauge just so much. Xin Zhao is going to get to the point where he will be unkillable. And that is my biggest concern. And right now, Mortar just doesn't have enough survivability to play this frontline Qiyana like he's used to playing on the Lee Sin, like he's used to playing on that Xin Zhao. And Qiyana's just getting blown up before Kiana could get their ult off either. At least I think they did use it, but it didn't get too much of an effect.
Didn't get much, and that's the tough thing, right? Because you're fighting in River. Yes, your ultimate does do a pretty large pushback into a wall, but ideally you want to be near the wall that you're throwing targets into, and it's tough because LCK Super Team's not really giving a lot of angles for that to happen. It's continued to be AP/armor gain Malphite. I think this is a Bramble Vest being next on the docket for the Rock.
Yeah, I do like the Everfrost.
Rapid Fire Cannon coming through eventually for the Jhin, and we just saw the GA being picked up now for Doubtful. So, yeah, despite how tough it was to kill him last time, it's actually impossible. You have to kill him twice.
And I think that feels like maybe the game winner. That just feels like the part where Boise State.
Curse.
Yeah, all caster curse. The LCK Super Team.
Spicy.
It's just I don't know how you kill the Xin Zhao twice, right?
It's tough.
really like 2.5 times because of how big of a shield you get from Steric's Gauge.
Right.
So that makes it even harder. Plus, you get I think you get a decent bit of Omnivamp as well, which he's not doing too much damage, but that's still any kind of healing is more than nothing. Plus, you have the Gore Drinker healing. So it just really begs the question of how do you kill Xin Zhao? How do you stop Xin Zhao? And if you're putting all your resources towards Xin Zhao, then Extorted and Klexo are just going to rip you apart.
That's true. It's tough. What really is the bane of existence for Boise State and how they want to play the macro is the fact that mid-tier 1's still alive. They cannot get those forward wards that they want to get these picks that they need to win these team fights with the man advantage. And until this mid tower goes down, they won't be able to get that vision advantage either. Here comes the Hex Flash over the wall. Gonna go on Light Pulse. We'll use the ultimate to maybe stay alive. Nice flash after the dash. That is a sneaky and tricky play to do. But a flash expended nonetheless. Here comes the curtain call. Will it land on many? Doesn't look like it did much damage based off the health bars for Boise State. It's going to be pretty even for both teams as we see that blue and red bar under the champion icons. Nice dodge from the distortion. But now a fast track given over to LCK Super Team to the Baron.
Yeah, LCK Super Team is just going to immediately rotate to the Baron, force Boise State to fight him as Klexco does a little bit of damage. And now they want the engage.
He doesn't have the ultimate this time, but it doesn't matter. On the backside, there comes the ultimate, but it's just a distraction tactic. Unfortunately, the dash will be out. Mortar will be taken down. The ignite's going to be huge, and Xin Zhao will dive forward. The GP ult stopping the dive, but I don't think they were going to commit to it regardless.
Yeah, they were just going to look for a pick here. Now they want to reset immediately for Baron. And this probably is a free Baron if you are the LCK Super Team. I don't know if Boise State really can challenge.
Doesn't look like it. And again, without having the Kiana ult to punish them being in the pit, the bullet time is really the only saving grace because GP's ult has already been expended, and they're still putting resources to deny those mid-tier 1s. Boise State just cannot find an edge right now.
Boise State, yeah, you said they get the Baron. They're still denying mid-tier 1, so Boise State can't even get that. There is the Baron going to be picked up for the LCK Super Team. And even though that just barely extends the gold lead, it's not even a 2,000 gold lead at the point. I mean, this game just feels, I don't want to say insurmountable.
It's tied towers, too. It's crazy. It's just the gold is on the right people for the LCK Super Team.
And it just feels like every single team fight feels like the exact same story. It feels like deja vu. It's Doubtful jumps in, nobody can kill him, and he just kind of runs down Mortar and ends up eliminating him because the Xin Zhao just does not take damage. And to me, I think that is where Boise State's got to find a way in, but there's just too much health on him right now.
It's true. It's tough. They need a little bit more setup with their team comp in general. They, despite what maybe appeared to be them being in the driver's seat for proactivity, with the way that this Kiana works with this build, you kind of have to be the reactionary force. But here comes the Malphite ult. Unstoppable force with the Zonias to follow. The knockback will only catch one. And that's what we're talking about. This Kiana ult is getting these small econ wins, but has so much more cash value if placed just maybe a little bit later or a different sort of angle. And I know it's hard to get that angle, but it needs to happen. The Steric's Gauge could offer enough time on the health bar for Mortar to get that on lockdown. But until that happens, it's going to be tough for Boise State to get that damage down. Blanc on the backside. We mentioned this is how she needs to operate. Here comes the Solar Flare as well. Dash forward with the Gale Force. No one's been killed just yet, and Boise State pulls down the cannon barrage on top of them, and it's an artillery strike with the Light Pulse to scatter the weak will find two, and the damage, there's the bullet time. It doesn't matter if you have a shield. It is a 1 versus 5. Can Doubtful pull this off? I doubt it.
Here's the Guardian's Angel. Elo Dad
Kill him 2 times. Here
needs
comes the
to be
perfect
very
cue.
careful.
And he's gone just like that. Boise State finds a whim, finds an angle, and takes the ace.
A great play by Boise State. The LeBlanc jumping in right on top. Gets obliterated by the cannon barrage. And this time Boise State uses the LCK
finally,
stage.
vindication. The tier 1 mid's gone. Now things start getting real spicy.
This is
Just the CC layering's huge. And
yeah.
Again, Goblin waiting for the perfect time to say, yes, Jin Zhao won't take damage, but the 2 remaining members from LCK Super Team will. And that's the perfect time for this. They layer the CC perfectly. Doesn't matter. Kill him 2.5 times. He's gone, and that GA is worthless now.
Yeah, now Boise State needs to take a fight. It's going to be hard to take another fight while Sterix is on cooldown, as it is already back up because Sterix is like a 30-second cooldown.
It's a dumb item.
Yeah, it's insanely quick. But can you take a fight with GA on cooldown? That's where Doubtful's going to lose a lot of his value. And the other thing is, Jin actually died first in that fight. Jin got absolutely annihilated. Extorted didn't even see the chance of day, and the LCK was kind of split up. Boise State, that time, maybe they don't want to be the proactive team. Maybe they don't want to be. Maybe they want to be reactionary, because that fight started with Klexo jumping on top of 2 of them and bursting them low, but they immediately just catch that LeBlanc
Somehow, yeah, and it's so crazy, too, because I think Goblin was the target, got dropped to 10% HP, but the front line, the GP Barrows, the All-Star, the Scatter of the Weak, and then the Cannon Barrage on top of it, stopped Klexo completely in their tracks. It's tough. It's a tough call.
Problem is they've got to do it probably a few more times.
Yeah, and this Cosmic, interesting debate. Cosmic Drive is a very interesting item just because of the fact that, yes, it gives you CDR. You're over a certain percentage of AP, so you... Oh, could be the Death Bush. Gonna find one. He does have the Banshee's Veil. Only stun 1, though, and he'll be instantly dropped from the 2-man combo. There goes the blue buff, and an advantage over now to the LCK Super Team. But almost took out 1 in tandem. It's almost a 1-for-1 trade, and that's getting real scary because of the fact that I think Ascent's optimized their build just a little bit better.
Yeah, almost, though.
LeBlanc, I think, just cashed in on a Rabadon, though, which is very scary.
Almost only good in horseshoes and hand grenades. Yeah, that is a Rabadon's picked up.
That's a spooky boy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the LCK team has done a really good job of being proactive and making plays like that. And it was a great job. They're like, well, we could get blue, or we could maybe look for a pick onto somebody, because now they're going to get their top 2 tier. Remember, Boise State has had the tier 2 top tower from about 16 minutes into the game and have really not gone anywhere else. They're setting up around this dragon that is spawning rather soonish. I don't think you can give LCK Super Team the Mountain Soul just because of that extra shield. Just makes it so much harder to burn.
It's a Serpent's Fang game.
No, not another Serpent's Fang game.
Who knows? But the big thing is, despite Elo Dad staying alive, and despite him not really showing that he's like the unstoppable split pusher, 6-1 and 7 on a Gangplank, and now at full build, actually. He just finished his full build. This guy will pop anyone if the barrels can get access to him. That's the tough call, though, right? If those barrels can get them.
Can you get the barrels onto Klexco? Klexco's probably, well, you know, I mean, if you get the barrels on the Leona, you don't really want that. That doesn't.
It's still chunks. I mean, he's got Mortal Reminder. Or, sorry, Lord Doms.
Oh, here we go. Curtain call to start the fight.
LeBlanc's looking for the back flank again. Boise State needs to huddle up like they did the first time. Klexo, look at the reservation they're showing now. They're not instantly going in because they're terrified of the repercussions, and that's rightfully the call. The only problem with this is Boise State being forced all the way into the bottom lane means that now LCK Super Team can just run to Baron and have full priority on it before Boise State can even respond. Do they care, though? It looks like they're maybe just sitting in the bottom lane, trading mid-tier 2 for...
Boise State knows they can't give up Mountain Soul, right? Because those shields are just going to make Xin Zhao unkillable.
Dragon's not up for like another 2 minutes.
This is a great play by LCK Super Team. As you said, they get him to get all stuck on Dragon. They're still just sitting there. It has to be up soon the way Boise State is playing. I think Boise State is trading Baron for Dragon.
I mean, you don't. With the Soul, I think that's why.
You have to with Mountain Soul. That it's not even a debate with Mountain Soul. Yeah, Boise State will pick up the Dragon. They'll make the next Dragon even more important. But yeah, I like this play. I mean, Boise State was kind of forced into a spot of not winning, right?
Sorry. I'm having a hard time digesting this Malphite build. Frozen Heart, which is an item that
This man
no one builds
is
anymore.
all over the
No
place.
Bramble Vest. And he's going like Randuin's next item? Like, just get the Bramble. You don't have any Grievous Wounds. Actually, wait. That's a huge point of contention. There's only one source of Grievous Wounds in the entire game. Oh, two. Because luckily Light Pulse has built the Thornmail. And we see the
There's not anyone
Oblivion
that we
Orb.
really need Grievous Wounds for. Though,
Oh yeah,
right?
the DP. Cut down the
Okay,
the
well
oranges,
on the
cut down
LCK
shield
Super
bow.
Team, there's not anyone you need Grievous Wounds for.
Yeah, Jin Zhao.
He doesn't do that much.
His passive heals him every 3 autos.
20. Uh-oh, he gets caught though.
He does get caught. He does have the GA up. Goes for the Gore Drinker on the backside. There's the engage, but gets shoved away. So much damage. Here comes the All-Star to try and deter the backline access. But the Zonias will pop, and here comes the GA as well. So much damage. Now Jin popping off. Here comes the curtain call, and it may just be curtains for Boise State. Trying to fight under the tower. They will be ripped asunder, and Boise State will give up game 2 as LCK Super Team will take it away.
Yeah, that was just Xin Zhao literally just 1v5. That is
That's what it is.
Again, hindsight's 2020. I trade Xin Zhao for MF any day if I'm Boise State.
That's a tough call, but what are we to say what happened, what went well, what went wrong? Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. I'm going right now. I'm going to be right back. See you.
Yeah, again, I think Boise State from the open, the question always was, is there such a thing as too much damage? And I think that was a big concern. But again, it's just the power of Xin Zhao. I think Boise State, in hindsight, will not let that happen where they say, we'll take the MF, we'll again use Xin Zhao. Maybe they didn't expect the LCK Super Team to take Xin Zhao. I think that's totally as possible as well. I would expect Boise State. Now, here's the other question. Well, no, never mind. I was going to ask that.
Red is, I think, the most winning side in UAL, actually.
I was going to ask that, but then I realized, well, the problem with that is either you have to let the Lee Sin through, and then they just ban Xin Zhao, and you're in the same position, because you're never gonna get a Lee Sin ban if you're Boise State, and they don't first pick Xin Zhao. So I think if you're Boise State, you take blue side again, and you probably first pick either Xin Zhao or Lee Sin, depending on which gets left up.
It's tough. You know, when it comes down to it as well, it kind of felt like there wasn't as much preparation compared to the performance on Xin Zhao, compared to the performance on Lee Sin on this Kiana. There seemed to be a little bit lack of agency, and it could just be the comp in general. You know, it's tough to find an angle when you have to walk through Leona, Xin Zhao, and a LeBlanc, but regardless, it may be something that is a moment of consideration for maybe a different jungler. Talon we saw pop off to some extent because of the extra mobility that they have jumping over those walls, or maybe we just rescind to just another classic like a Graves jungle or
Graves is a laner now, didn't you know?
Oh yeah, he's a top laner.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I mean,
what do I know?
I don't know. I mean, why don't we just, we'll let the players take a quick break. We'll figure it out.
We will definitely throw it to a quick break. I definitely need some more respawn to get more energized. But we'll be back here in just a few for game number 3.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Probably just missed their flight.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena for Game 3 of this UAL competition between Boise State and this LCK Super Team. Boise State now 1-1 on do or die match point for this map 3, and it's been a tough road to get here, but Boise State, they've been in this situation before. They've been able to make adjustments. We saw Game 1 go completely topsy-turvy in their favor. What do they need to do to replicate Game 1?
I think what Boise State needs to do is just go back to the, picking your spots approach. I think the one thing that really set them behind early in Game 2, not really early in Game 2, in the mid-game of Game 2, is they had a huge lead. It was like 7-3 at one point, but they kept forcing fights. They kept trying to get more picks. They kept trying to just really step on the throat of the LCK Super Team, and that kind of backfired on them, and it led LCK Super Team back in the game. So, I would love to see more of the Game 1 approach. Let's play a slow farm game. Let's catch them out on wards. Let's make great ganks, and hey, maybe it'll be 4-3 at 25 minutes, but we are putting ourselves in a position where we can win very easily if we make the right plays. I just didn't like the fact that we started out very aggressive. It started out fantastic, some great ganks by Light Pulse all over the map, and we kept trying to force those ganks, and they kept going awry, and we let Klex go back in the game. We got doubtful to the point where he just literally could not be killed, and we saw that in the last fight. He jumps in 1v5, and his GA procs at the very, very, very end.
Yeah, it's tough to say, and whether those do see those changes. But again, the reminder of the rules, it's a best of 3. We are on match point, so we're at that crucial do or die situation. 5 versus 5, Summoner's Rift. Vex still available for picks for both teams. We probably won't see it if we haven't seen it yet, but Boise State picking the red side for Game 1. Be flipped on the side for the LCK Super Team. I wonder if Boise State goes back to red for Game 3.
I don't think you can, right? There's just too many junglers. Unless you are going to concede a Xin Zhao and a Lee Sin ban, right?
Which seems dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, because you're going to have to ban both of those, because if you pick red side, the LCK Super Team has all of the initiative to say, well, if you ban Lee Sin, we'll just pick Xin Zhao. You have to then ban Lee Sin and Xin Zhao, which means some combination of the Thresh and the Lucian are going to get through, because it has been Yuumi, Lucian, Thresh every single round. Maybe Boise State wants to bring out Lucian, Nami. It's a very strong bot lane, but I think it takes a lot of agency away from Light Pulse, who wants to be making plays, wants to be making ganks, like we saw on the Rel and on the Alistar.
Not the bubble.
But you can't roam. You can't roam as well as Nami, right? You're not going to just roam into lane with your Mobies and land a bubble and a tidal wave. So I think you got to pick blue side. You got to force the LCK Super Team to be the team that gets stuck banning the Lee Sin, gets stuck banning the Xin Zhao. I mean, because those two junglers really, Xin Zhao in particular, has set the tone for this series.
I think there's also a consideration for Ascent to pick one of those mid laners that can do those kind of pseudo flanks at the Corki, have the Realm Warp maybe on the rise, just to give extra pressure to the backline fights where Boise State can maybe push through to one end. We saw them contest that dragon fight that they had won by killing everyone there on the side of the LCK Super Team, by coming from the top side of the river, pushing through across the dragon pit and ending on the bottom side. Those kinds of plays, forcing maybe the LCK Super Team into a wall, waiting with Ascent there with their, whatever mid laner they pick, could be huge for them.
Yeah, I like that pick. I like that mention, though, by the way. And I think the Corki would be a great choice just to kind of throw everything off, and because it's something that Boise State has played in particular very, very well.
Or like TF, or something that has global pressure.
Yeah, something that with global agency. I mean, I really do like the Goblin on the Misfortune as well, but I don't think it's an irreplaceable pick, right? I think there's other champions that Goblin could play very well on. I mean, obviously we saw the damage the Misfortune could do. Boise State, I do like this pick going back to the blue side, a fantastic choice by them. And now the question really becomes, if you're the LCK Super Team, what are your bans? I think Boise State just immediately does the same thing. They do Lucian, they do Yuumi, they do Thresh. Now it's on the LCK Super Team. Do they ban Lee Sin and Xin Zhao? Do they just ban Lee Sin? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, and even so, they can also draft the same thing.
The LeBlanc ban.
LeBlanc being banned away. They don't want to give the agency of that kind of flanker, if you will. If there's a position called a flanker in League over to the LCK Superstars there. And for good reason. LeBlanc, even if she doesn't do anything for 20 minutes, the moment that she gets a few kills, she becomes a menace.
There's that Lee Sin ban. That probably tells me the LCK Super Team's going to take away Xin Zhao as well. There's that threshold. Yumi's up, but I haven't seen that much from that bot lane for the LCK Super Team. I think they want to play through Plexico. Actually, wow.
They banned the Yumi.
Wow, they think the Yumi has that much. So that means they already have a plan. They knew Xin Zhao was gone, so they already knew how to counter plan built for Xin Zhao. It's still Boise has to pick Xin Zhao because I think LCK says we'll take it if you don't. But the Yumi ban to me says the LCK Super Team truly believes
there's
they
a
have
dangerous thing left open, though. Do you remember the champion Bard by chance?
Yeah, Bard is up.
That
So,
could be-
yeah,
that
why
could
do
be
you
the
ban
draft.
Bard over... Why do you ban... That Yumi's weird. Yumi feels like that's just like the popular pick of the week ban for both teams.
Have you ever played against Yumi Xin Zhao?
No, but it doesn't seem very fun. Playing against Xin Zhao in itself doesn't seem very fun.
No, Xin Zhao's great. You just get to go. That is the sprint shift W character right now for jungling. You just get to run at them, and Yumi helps with that. They will actually,
They will take
on
the
the
MF.
LCK team, take away the misfortune. Now that's an interesting thing because, again, we see Goblin often play these kind of ADCs that maybe aren't like the biggest carry, but they have so much utility to offer the team.
Mm-hmm.
Goblin has been known for one other ADC that fits that role perfectly, so we'll have to wait to see whether or not I'll give you a little hint, she comes out.
There.
And there she is.
Yeah, there's the Ashe. We haven't really seen him too much on the Ashe. There's
Have
been a lot of
not.
misfortune, putting a lot of agency back in Goblin's hands, which I really do like. I'm curious what Boise State's next pick is going to be. We have that Viego we haven't really talked about. He has some flex potential, especially after some of the changes where he goes from
Jungle to mid
jungle
to top.
to mid to top. So I like the Gangplank pick as well. I like Elo Dad saying, I thought I played this really, really well. I'm confident if it's a Viego. I'm confident whatever you're going to pick into me because I really don't think that AP Malphite was like, wow, what a great pick. I thought it was very interesting.
I've been stopped in my tracks.
Yeah,
AP
so-
Malphite, dang.
I'm curious, but
And now because of the fact that they have Make It Rain, AoE slow, great. But Enchanted Crystal Arrow with a barrel combo could be devastating.
it allows Xin Zhao to get in. We get that Jace pick.
Jace top.
So that probably means it's Viego jungle, which is where he usually is at home.
Could still be Viego top with Jace mid. Probably unlikely. You want to keep Jace as far away from mid as possible.
Yeah, you want to keep Jason, usually is very far away. I like the Rise band there. We talked about those flanks on the Realm Warp. Maybe we do get that Corky pick. Leona,
Yeah, they have
Take it
so much
away.
engage tools with their ADC.
Silas.
A Silas ban to prevent the great ulti that is bullet time to beat. You don't want to take Jace's ult.
No.
Diego's ult doesn't reset, I don't think. So I don't know why the Silas ban's coming out. Maybe just for prosperity's sake. But Bard's still open after the ban phase
unless
is
you're going to pick
concluded.
Malphite, right? Because, I mean,
Unless
Silas
you pick Malphite.
is like the Malphite, but I don't think Malphite fits in this comp. So there's
It
the
obviously
Twisted
didn't
Fate,
win lane
so-
either. That did
No,
not
it struggled.
phase Elo Dad at all.
I like that Twisted Fate pick for the LCK Super Team. They still get that agency that the LeBlanc has in terms of roaming potential. Get great flanks with those yellow cards, probably right on top of Goblin or potentially whatever mid laner Boise State's going to pick out. It is interesting, though, that you're the LCK Super Team. You have red side, so you pick fourth and then last. So it was interesting you picked your mid. Why not just see what Boise State wanted to pick in mid first? What support do you have up your sleeve that you are
It's
really
Jace
waiting?
Support.
Jace Zed?
Jace Zed support? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And I would assume
Oh.
Bard? Is this Bard?
It's got to be Bard. Because you have so much.
Well, you do need a tank, though. You do need some assistance. No, it's a Bard? Never mind.
Look, we just know.
Yeah, I'm curious what support, trump card that LCK had. Because there's no explanation, right, to pick your mid when
They just pick Rel here, right?
Probably. I think Rel's
I think
the best
Rel's
choice.
fantastic into
Rel or
this.
Nautilus, if you want that beefy.
You pick Nautilus into the Yumi lane, but yeah, sweep the leg. Good call, Twitch chat. Gotta go for that leg.
Ooh, the Amumu.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I like Rel personally.
Yeah, I
but
think the
mean,
Rel's the better choice. And you
Amumu
played
does
Leona.
the same thing. The problem with Amumu in general with this comp is they don't have a lot of magic damage to accentuate the passive. So it's all physical across the board besides the Twisted Fate. So maybe that's the goal. You get the gold card, you get 2 bandage tosses, and the Curse of the Sad Mummy. That person's not long for the world. But the thing is, Tempered Fate is such a unique chess piece in this matchup because when it's used can completely stop a full. Bullet time is similar to the way that Xin Zhao's ult did. It can stop a Mumu from even getting to places. It can stop Viego from getting resets. A lot of different things. No one needs to build Azonias on Boise State because of that Tempered Fate if they use it defensively. But we've also seen them be more than willing to use it offensively. And what a better combo than the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the Tempered Fate. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the one thing that really is going to stand out to me is clearly the LCK. I don't think you're as worried about Yuumi. And I mean, yes, I know you say he's the Yuumi Xin Zhao. I think you just ban Xin Zhao, right? I think you just, if you're LCK super team, I think Rumble, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao ban was probably your better play. So I really think what I want to keep an eye on is what play. They had a plan. They had to know that Xin Zhao was going to Boise State, especially with the way they banned. So they had to have a plan in mind. But you look at this team, and this feels a lot like what we saw from Boise State last time, right? You have the MF, you have the Jace, you have the Twisted Fate. Viego has a little bit more innate tankiness, especially if he starts getting resets. But this really looks like Boise State's team. 4 all-out, blast in your face, and an Amumu who's going to be that pseudo-tank with the CC. You just watched a comp like this fail to kill a Xin Zhao. What makes you think this comp that relies a lot on bullet time, the empowered Jace Q, the wild cards from Twisted Fate, what thinks you're going to get through the Crescent Guard all of a sudden?
And it's not even that. Beyond that as well, you have so many different ways for Boise State to engage on you. In fact, everyone but Xin Zhao has a way to start a team fight on the Boise State roster, whereas you only have poke from Jace. You have the TF who's going to put himself in a dangerous position. Viego can't really start a fight. He's there to clean things up. MF can't start a fight. Maybe make it rain. We'll get the slows. Mumu really, in tandem with TF being the only 2 engages, could force Boise State to, just by nature of their comp, take the driver's seat by being more proactive because they have more tools to use.
100% agree. I do think the one thing that a lot of the Twisted Fate and the Amumu are going to enable, and it's really going to put a lot of pressure on Doubtful is that Viego, right? You land a gold card into a bandage toss on, let's say, Goblin, then you get the reset onto Ash, you get that Enchanted Crystal Arrow that you're able to fire off on the Viego, so...
You don't get the ult.
Yeah, that's right. You don't get the, but you get the volley, you get the slow,
you get the
right?
volley and the AoE, the auto attack slows. Look at that graphic, so cool.
So I mean, I
spooky.
think you can you're enabling Viego to pop off here, and you just try and who do we want to stun? So maybe you jump on Gangplank, right? Of course, he'll oranges out of the yellow card into double bandage toss, curse of the sad money. Now you put Viego on Gangplank and you get barrels. Now you're in a world of hurt. So this feels like a Viego sort of protect the Viego comp. Instead of protecting him with tanks, they're protecting him with CC and a lot of damage to enable those resets to come out very quickly.
Yeah, and then the Force Gate helps him be mobile. In addition to that, he's got his Shroud that is able to give him the movement speed with the stealth and the attack speed. He's a great design champion. Also doesn't have any mana cost, heals a bunch, has crowd control, has a dash, has a reset mechanic. He's balanced. He's really, really well designed and super fun to play against. But I think that's the right call, right? Especially with how Undoubted played the last game. Put a couple chips in his basket. Maybe he's not the sole carry this game, but give him some more resources to work with, because that Xin Zhao that popped off last game, it could easily be replicated with Viego.
100% agree. And I think that it really comes down to Boise State has this more well-rounded comp where I think we're going to see Mortar just kind of play that role that Doubtful played, which is, pick up the Sterix Gauge, pick up the Gore Drinker, pick up the GA, which seems to be both their build paths on Xin Zhao, and just become this unkillable monster. Whereas LCK has that 4-man dive that Boise State had, but they have a champion in particular they can play around on that 4-man dive, and that is the Viego with the resets.
Where's the Azir? Azir's a great pick here.
No.
Xin Zhao goes in, you scoop him out.
But the whole thing is that Xin Zhao goes in and pops Crescent Guard and just doesn't take damage.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where he is.
Just say, nah, you can stay over there, but it's just
still blocks the whole bullet
alone.
time, as we've seen.
Yeah, that's another thing as well, as we've seen. I mean, Undoubted was personally experiencing the fact that he lived through the bullet time because of the MF Bolt, and then they let this go through the draft. I don't know.
I think the
know.
LCK Super Team maybe was banking on the fact that Boise State wanted MF more, right? Because we saw that in Game 2. Boise State said, well, we want the MF more than this ins out.
Oh,
it
they
didn't work
first
out to
picked
them.
it,
So,
yeah.
yeah, maybe they were like, oh, they'll first pick it again. So I don't think that was the case. Let's throw it over to Doc's Keys, though. Barrett, tell us what you're ready for Game 3.
Yeah, and again, Doc sees the game. Focus on a strong comp. Both of these teams show they know how to do so. Play to your comp. Remember the win con and Dragon Control. A great set, I think, of Doc's Keys. And, of course, those are brought to you by Drop-In Gaming. Drop-In Gaming is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com.
I'm really curious on how Boise State is going to play this comp because, I mean, they do have a ton of damage still. It really hasn't changed too much from their last comp, just a couple of the faces. I do like the sort of pick the GP in your face. It's really going to come down to the Xin Zhao, though. I mean, he has been a powerhouse. He almost has taken over for Lee Sin.
We can't discredit the Corki package.
No.
Because last time we've seen Ascent on Corki, it had so much agency in deciding whether or not they were still alive, fighting for a chance to win, or getting themselves cashed up on a lead. Whatever the case may be, it's going to be a huge tool, and we have to wait to see how Boise State uses it.
100% agree. 100%. I mean, Corki has been sort of that wild card. Like he said, you look at Ascent scores on the Corki, and you're like, okay. But the thing is that when you see him play, he has been a huge reason why Boise State's been in a ton of games. When he plays that Corki, he has been doing a ton of damage. And so I think you're right. Corki's going to be able to spit out a ton of damage. That package, especially on the Viego, if Jace chooses to go into hammer form, is going to basically melt that team apart. The Amumu as well has to be very careful if they do not get tanky enough early. But, man, this really just shows to me that like, Xin Zhao should be perma-banned just because he's so absolutely insane.
It's nuts. He does too much.
How do you allow the Crescent Guard? Like, how do you allow that interaction where, like, oh, yeah, I pick a target and no one else but that target can hit me?
It's like old Poppy ult. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Office linebacker Poppy, big fan. AP Poppy, one
shot.
He
ulted the support and just killed the rest of the enemy team. Oh, you can't kill me. That's right. What I find interesting, though, is we finally get to see a combative top lane. We don't have like a tank into a range where it's kind of disadvantageous for both. The range kind of eking out that max distance to try and get the poke. This time we kind of see the same thing, but Jace is pseudo melee, and I think that gives maybe some insight to No Flame to maybe be a little bit more combative, which is exactly what Elo Dad wants.
Yeah, they're both pseudo melee, though I think Jace would be, you would almost call Jace like a range, like a pseudo range.
Ranged autos.
Yeah, he has ranged autos, so that is like the one slight advantage he's going to have here. But as you said, I think Elo Dad wants to fight, especially on his favorite champion. So I think he did a really good job. I think Boise State did a much better job in this game, in particular managing the draft. And setting it up in a way that I think gives them a much better overall team comp. But we'll see here against the LCK Super Team if that's going to be the case.
All the marbles are on the line. Boise State versus the LCK Super Team in the final do-or-die Game 3. And we might have a tactical pause.
Yeah, I do think we have.
Tactical, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, we're good. We got the cleanse on Goblin, which is very interesting, of course, for those bandage tosses.
Yeah, I think that's wise. We see the unsealed spellbook as well on TF, meaning that Klexo wants to be just as globally pressuring as possible. Could be a huge boon for them. This could be a great late invade. They know that they invaded red last time and there was no one to be seen. Do they get away with this scot-free? The ward across the wall will be scouted and pinged.
Yeah, Elo Dad saw them this time at least, so they're going to force it back. What is Extorted trying to cleanse, by the way? The Bard or the arrow?
Can't do the Tempered Fate. It's just the arrow.
Well, I meant the Bard Q, right? You can cleanse the Bard Q. Yeah, that's.
But at that point, the damage is already done. When it comes to Bard Q, it's like, yes, it stuns for a little bit, but it chunks. It does so much damage that I think the damage is already done when you land it.
I don't like that cleanse. I would have much rather just said bring the heal, right?
Or exhaust.
Well, you don't have anyone who's going to die. I mean, I guess you could exhaust Mortar.
Exhaust Corki, maybe.
Yeah, I think you could have just been better off with the heal if you are extorted.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very curious to see what that cleanse is used on. I mean, it basically
Ignite is really weird too, because I mean,
they want to kill people, right? I like that kill lane for the Amumu.
Do they have the damage 2v2?
I think you have the CC with the 2 bandage tosses.
Maybe.
And with the now you get 2 bandage tosses, so you can bandage toss in, do some damage. If you think you can go in for a second one.
That's an aftershock bard too, right? Yes.
Yes.
That's very odd. You either see like Electrocute, Halo Blades, or even Guardian to be safe. Aftershock means that he just wants to queue after the engage happens to stay alive. But Amumu is just so much more innately tanky. Unless, of course, he also has bone plating, which is possible.
I would assume they both also bring bone plating. It's just such a strong...
Interesting that we see the longsword 3-pot start on this Corki mid. I think more often, we've seen this before, Ascent drafting that Cole, and it's probably no better against the Twisted Fate lane because you then also get his passive, pretty much.
I am a big fan of the refillable, too, on Goblin, because he knows he's going to take poke in this lane in particular, so he wants to be able to have constant health potions in the lanes. They get a nice volley slow, some nice chip damage.
Ash does damage. It's not surprising, and with the coin being built on Soli, that means that they're not kind of the forward tank that maybe the Leona could have been prior. It is something to consider. Again, continuing to use the spooky Gangplank, the right skin choice every time. And those barrels now being alive could be huge. Flash opportunity mid lane? Not going to get it. Here comes a nice trade, but it's the 2 versus 1 in the top lane.
Teleport.
No TP to help out. He gets a flash himself to safety, but to the skies will be there looking for any sort of way to get to safety. But the removed oranges was not enough to heal, and despite his best efforts, first blood will be given over to the side of LCK Super Team.
Doubtful now going to get engaged on.
You're going to be a nice rotation. And the counter TP, he misses the Q because of the knock-up, and that will give Doubtful a free out. But Elo Dad is back in top lane and back to farming.
They basically nullified any advantage that No Flame could pick up from that. They do have Light Pulse up there as well.
This is forced. It's got to come organically, right? And at the right time. Yes, you want to maybe trade back a kill, but if you're not there at the time for a 2v2, I think you just got to consider maybe going somewhere else.
And I do think Amumu MF is a very, very scary lane to leave
Ashe,
Goblin in solo.
Yeah, and a mobile ADC as Ashe is, you're pretty much saying, all right, good luck, bud.
I mean, you can already see his CS being doubled here by Extorted. Now, of course, there is going to be a decent-sized wave crashing down. Ooh. Teleport into Gangplank is always a interesting idea.
Still alone, the 1v1. That is, welcome to lane,
yeah,
sir.
You cannot. I get what you're trying to do to deny the cannon, but
was it worth it?
You cannot teleport into a Gangplank. Gangplank will hard punish any sort of stasis effect like that because you just take so much poke.
Now, No Flame still has flash, so they're not going to put in the resource up here to dive just yet, but regardless of that situation, he's relatively safe against this Gangplank because, I mean, depending on the barrels, he has the W, which is the hypercharge, which deals with them really well. It's a great matchup for the Jays, especially with that 1 kill under his belt. And he's got that Vamp Scepter, which will help him sustain the chip damage from the Qs. But it doesn't matter. Looks like Boise State will actually end up putting someone in the top lane. Mortar desperate for some extra gold, especially an assist to even his fellow jungler. Goes around the wall. Gonna get engaged on. We found out the slow will be there, but not enough. And unfortunately, Mortar could not get in position in time for that.
Viego's going to rotate up, though. We can have a little bit of a 2-on-2.
Yeah.
Health bars probably barely do favor Boise State.
Minion engage. Here comes the damage. The knockup's going to be there. Audacious Charge will find both. He has access to either target as they do line up. They're preventing Twisted Fate from rotating as much as possible, but he might have level 6 on board. Comes the Force Shock. Force Blast. Shock Blast. I think it's Shock Blast, but an engage in Mortar looking for an eager attempt to try and get some Krugs taken away, and will be taken down to like 10% HP. Playing with fire.
Light Pulse is coming up, and I don't know if they were maybe waiting for Light Pulse here. We're going to get the Hex Flash over the wall.
They are waiting for it.
Surprised we didn't get the Magical Journey to bring both of them with him.
Right, in the welcoming arms though, but now we see Amumu has left bottom lane as
Here
well.
comes TF.
Here comes the TF ulti, and you're going to be found out. The gold card will be there. Is there enough auto attack damage in the world? He will actually be taken out from the final auto. We see Ascent on the back line. Here comes the GP ultimate. Get himself to safety with his own flash across the wall, and both ADCs are just passively farming in the bottom lane.
Well, the AZCs are like, is there something happening here?
Portal Combat, Magical Journey will get them to safety. Mumu will not follow. Instead, he will then deny the vision here in the top lane. And this is as contrary to my solo queue experience as possible. All members in the top lane as opposed to my bottom lane.
Ooh, look
Nice
at Goblin.
Here. Does not have level 6 just yet. If that was online, I'm sure Misfortune would not be long for the world.
Well, they'd have the cleanse. Yeah, the cleanse would have saved Misfortune.
Yeah, but that's enough damage to kill. It does like, what, 200 damage?
It does do a sizable chip, and by the time, you hit cleanse, you might get a couple extra auto attacks off. But now Goblin has hit level 6, so then Enchanted Arrow will come online. Looks like we do have a Cloud Dragon first up on the game. No team really dying to take care of that one.
We see the beginnings of the Divine Sunderer coming out from Doubtful this time. Cutting the wave. Doing what they can to get as much plating as possible, but Misfortune is in tow.
Should get at least one. Yeah.
Away to get themselves to safety. Boise State does have the opportunity to go towards the Dragon area now, but they really do need to capitalize on the fact that Soli is only level 4. I think this is the prime time to go for a 3v3, have both junglers face off. Jin Zhao's level 6. I mean, they have level advantage across. Oh no, Diego just at level 6. Here's the arrow, but here comes the cleanse as well. A little bit.
Now you have the cleanse, and Flash was used as well. Bullet Time not able to find anything except I think one tick.
Wave?
Yeah,
wave. They're pressuring the wave clear to go for the Dragon area. And
oh, I like that.
I think that's the right call. I mean, with Viego's natural damage to neutral objectives and the Sheen, it's going to be a lot of damage, and that was just almost instantly taken out. It was just an expended resource, and with this Tear the Goddess build, you really don't look for any kills early game until you get the Mirror Mana online anyway.
So far, Boise State, not too aggressive, though they have tried to make a couple plays in the top lane, but I mean, that kill by Jace almost neutralized by the farm difference that Elo Dad has managed to build up here. Everything else somewhat close. It is a 20 CS gap in that bottom lane for Goblin, but another back from Misfortune here should allow him to slowly but surely close that gap. And Boise State will do the right thing. You lose Dragon, you grab the first Rift Herald. That's kind of a nice trade. Here's the package.
Package with the Magical Journey to follow suit, but unfortunately Corki did not land the crucial slow necessary to stop TF. I think he also had Ghost as one of his unsealed spellbook spells. So he's fine there, and here comes the gold card looking for retaliation. Here comes Phosphorus Bomb. Hextech missiles and engage. A nice flash being given out, and there's that Crescent Guard as well. The Viego doesn't get the reset, but now he's alive, and now he's Jin Zhao. He's a perfect opportunity for him to go what he did last time, a double kill being picked up. And here's the TF ulti. Gold card, here comes the bandit toss over the wall. Soli will give their life for this. There'll be a trade, but unfortunately a triple kill. No, actually Klexo took it, and the GP ult was just a minuscule barrage away from giving over a trade 2 for 2.
Great job there by the LCK Super Team. Once again, this is something we talked about for Boise State. Just getting a little bit too aggressive. They're going to just, I mean, he wanted to stun with into the wall, did Light Pulse, but he gets caught, and then once you get the reset on Viego, there's really nothing you can do. I don't know if I agree with Soli giving their life for this. I don't think Corki would have died without that bandage. So maybe that was the right play, and then the barrage just a little bit too far forward. We come back to live, though.
Doesn't have the cleanse this time. This time it'll be easy killing. The Goblin will pick up a necessary kill, evening up that gold lead through the CS disadvantage that they have. And we see yet another Youmuu's Ghostblade being first picked up for this MF, and looks like a TP in the top lane. Everyone's trying to get to that crucial item power spike so they can contribute fighting. Unfortunately for Boise State, champions like Twisted Fate only need that level 6, and same thing for Viego to be the champions they need to. And the items are just extra flavor. A nice kill on the bottom lane. We'll put some pressure down there. Boise State now realizing that's their strongest lane. 2 cent in the top lane. Elodad will not be long for this world. But they will pop to Shelly. Here comes the Curse of the Sad Mummy on 3. Make it 4. Does not matter. Shelly's here to get the first tier tower. And first tower blood will go over to Boise State.
Eventually.
Wait. Within the wave? One wave. Yeah, right here.
Yeah, we needed just a little bit more.
Oh, he's going to go for the
he'll take the CS, let the minions do the work. That is still first tower. Any way you slice it. Ton of gold going over to Goblin now. And even though he isn't on that Misfortune, he's got to be the hero here for Boise State. He's almost even in farm. Yeah, you see there, he's almost got 1,000 gold lead on MF. He's got the most gold on the Boise State team, and it's not even close.
Yeah, it's sadly not close.
Unfortunately, doubtful. Oh, here we go.
Fate. They have the Q to line it up. Don't need the arrow just yet, but they may layer it afterwards. It's not available. Bullet time will be given, and there's that crescent guard to eat it all up. Again, on the other side of the map, GPs continue to be stuffed by this 2 versus 1. Will he actually get a trade kill here?
No.
It is so dangerously close, but unfortunately, the hull breaker was not there. Not enough true damage on the GP kit, and unfortunately for Boise State, that GP carry isn't coming online for a while.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting play. Boise State has kind of opted for we want to keep farming the bot lane. LCK Super Team has decided we want to set up No Flame in the top lane and really shut down EloDad, which is something they've done really well, sitting at 0-4 right now. And even that 0-4, he has more CS than Jace, which is very interesting.
Because Viego's taking it all.
Yeah, No Flame has struggled that hard. He does put the Eclipse online for that Jace, working on the Tear of the Goddess next into that Miramana. And unfortunately for Boise State, the problem is they've had a couple picks that didn't hit the mark, right? We saw right there. They tried to dive onto the Amumu, could not pick up the kill. Meanwhile, Gangplank gets dived. Almost had it, but some great tower aggro juggling by the LCK Super Team. And they end up coming up with the kill. Dragon is spawning here soon. See if Boise State chooses to fight over it.
If Viego just had mana, he'd be fine. It's just crazy.
I think you could say that about a lot of champions, right? A lot of champions, right? Like if Riven just had mana. Oh, here we go.
Gonna engage. This one does not have a cleanse. Where's the backup though? The huge amount of damage, the movement speed, and the shield. The lifesteal could be enough, but not quite, as the rest of Boise State will collapse, giving up another kill to Goblin.
Here comes Viego.
So much damage with just that one W auto attack. 25% of Light Pulse's health is gone, but solely looking mid rotation will be found by the Jin Zhao. Here comes the stun. The Curse of the Sad Mummy will be answered, but Goblin will pick up a third one, really locking themselves in the I need to carry spot. The Magical Journey with the package combo. Surprise birthday party. I thought they were playing Corky, not Fiddlesticks.
Boise State, this is the aggression. When they want to get aggressive, this is how well this team can play. Now we're going to see, this is a scary spot for EloDad. You're down 2 levels.
I don't think he's worried. He should be, but he's not.
He does have quite a sizable chunk of damage to Klexko, who does have that Everfrost finish. Meanwhile, EloDad still trying to work it.
This is such a low damage TF build. Everfrost in the rapid fire with Boots of Swiftness. TF is just a gold card machine at this point.
And he's what he needs to do, right?
That's
exactly LCK's team is to set up Viego.
That's true.
Nothing, and to help Extor to get off bullet time. That's kind of the LCK win condition, is Viego resets into bullet time, which isn't a bad idea anytime there's a reset champion. Nice stun.
Great stun. Able to find it. Prox's aftershock before combat happens, though, it's always a sad moment. You know, you pop your crucial cooldown for team fighting before any fighting's begun, but you'll take it.
Should be back up.
And then this Ashe build is actually going full throttle. I think this is a Runons? Second?
Most likely.
I think Hurricane is great against this team just because when they fight, they want to be in pretty close proximity.
I like how Boise State has battled back in this game. It was a bit of a slow start. They've really got to find a way to kill Doubtful, though. Doubtful has been so strong all night long for the LCK Super Team.
Too ironic of a name, though, sadly. He's still pickable. The big thing about this is he doesn't have the Jinja ultimate for safety.
Here we go. Uh-oh.
The layered ultis. Here comes Twisted Fate to back things up. Curse of the Sad Mommy will actually miss Goblin with that perfect flash. And on the backside, Doubtful will need to flash away. Jace coming in on the side. Here comes the Shock Blast and the enhanced one with the bullet time. Viego actually finds an angle and gets multiple resets. He is now actually Ashe. Now he's no longer Ashe.
Enable your reset champion. I do think it landed, by the way. I think Goblin was forced to cleanse. Cleanse is on cooldown, so if it didn't hit, he got baited into cleansing anyway.
Fair.
And he also he had a flash out of range, still got hit and had to cleanse, and now Ascent's going to have to flash as well.
And flashing with the gold card with the movement speed is just too huge. Shield bow will be popped. Does he have enough damage to turn this away? No, the reset will be there. And the turret will go down as well. Boise State look to make a proactive play, and just a minor misplay of using 2 ultimates at the same time, really nullifying each other. Didn't end up working out too well for them.
We see the strength of this Amumu support and why it has been, I don't want to say controversial, but highly debated and highly nerfed.
1 versus 2. No backup to be seen
Can't
just yet.
fight this if you're Mortar.
Ash Arrow is still on cooldown. It looks like this is going to go by the wayside.
Ah.
Mortar looking for the challenge. We go for the 50-50. Viego is half HP, and he goes in and steals it anyway. He finds the back line. Where's the rest of his team? The TPs are coming through. They actually get it extorted. We'll find one. There's a reset, and now the Xin Zhao is back in the hands of Doubtful. Things go disastrous for Boise State after the steal. But what can you say? They did their best to try and get it. They did secure the objective, but will lose all members in tandem.
Yeah, I do not think the 4 for 0 is
I think
worth.
you just sacrifice Mortar there.
You either sacrifice Mortar, you probably just don't go in, right? I mean,
Mortar goes for the 50-50. That's fine. Deny it all you want. That's justifiable. The rest of everyone being there, I don't know, especially without the Ash.
What a
ult,
huge downside,
without the
right,
package.
is all the resets, right? Because Viego's getting low. They're just losing Mortar. Viego gets the reset. He becomes Xin Zhao. He gets the knock-up and the audacious charge. He's able to close the gap onto Ash, and he's just able to pick apart the Boise State backline. I think you're right. I think in hindsight it was the right call because you have to realize, like, I think it was Viego. They were like 2-shot. They were so low, and I think that's why Boise State wanted to go in.
Right.
Well, the real question is they don't get value off of this Rift Herald, then none of that was going to matter. So this Rift Herald has a ton of pressure for Boise State. They need to almost get it at least 2 charges to make up for losing 4 members.
Now, oh goodness, now we see Gangplank opting for an early Mythic Rush with the Trinity Force. It's such a weird item because it's incentivizing you to be in constant combat, which is, with the way that these two teams are scrappy, it could be beneficial. But I don't know, the burst potential, the CC potential for LCK Super Team means that these fights are over before they begin, I think.
And Soli has been doing such a great job on this Amumu, landing so many good Curse of the Sad Mummies. Goblin's Cleanse is not up, so Boise State probably cannot afford a fight until that cleanse is online.
Klexo's got Magi's too. They're looking for the early end, and here comes a TP in the bottom lane. Misses the Shock Blast, but there's the rest of the team. Everfrost will block him up as well. Oranges will not be enough to save you this time. As a 4 versus 1, Boise State will suffer another casualty in the bottom lane, but they are looking to maybe make some moves on the other side of the map.
Well, now I think they're going to want to sandwich Boise State. You can see Viego is already staring down Goblin. Rift Herald's going to come out. This may be going to get 1 charge. They're just trying to draw attention away from that second dragon. It will be an Infernal Soul this game, so Heraldina will at least find 1 charge, but
looking at the tower.
In hindsight, not worth the 4 deaths that were caused by her.
Worth it.
And wow, look at these pings. I mean, they know Viego can solo a dragon. LCK Super Team's just going to say, we just want this tier 2 bot tower.
Right. I mean, that's the right move. With it being close to the 20-minute mark, they have a huge lead, both in the money that they've afforded them, huge, powerful items. And another dive in the bottom lane. It's going to be another 2 versus 1. Elodad cannot catch a break. And the middle lane is going to be where the huge bullet time is used for fending off the siege. A fantastic siege ult, I guess, used to take out 2 tier 2 towers at once. LCK Super Team, I don't know what they decided or talked about between Game 2 and Game 3, but this is a completely different team.
This Misfortune has just been played very well, and it really has come down to Doubtful, though. I mean, Doubtful, if LCK...
And Klexo as well. I think the agency for this TF has just been huge, and they continue to stop any sort of gold being gained by this Gangplank.
I mean, 10,000 gold at the 20-minute mark for Doubtful. He has
3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, nearly 3,000 gold lead. He has a 2,000 gold lead on anyone on Boise State, by the way.
That's insane.
And so does Klexo, though. As you mentioned, Klexo's number just, a few minutes, or probably a few seconds away, honestly, from hitting that 10,000 mark at 9,900. Those two in particular, you see 11, 1, and 14.
Yeah.
That is just so much agency, and Doubtful's done a great job of playing the not that getting the resets takes skill, but playing those resets perfectly. Boise State has a chance. Here's a scary spot to be, though.
We talked about powerful duo mid jungles, and here's an engage. Doesn't even need it. Here's a full team fight, but Lightpost will pick up the first blood. TF ultimate to the back line. Gonna get access to much. There's a reset. He's gonna become Xin Zhao again. Dash over the wall, has another dash as well, flashing through, and there's Viego. He's a 200-year champion, well designed. A double kill coming over, and assuredly the Baron to follow suit.
Yeah, easy Baron here for the LCK super team. There's really nothing Boise State can do. And again, I mean, it's really going to fall all to Ascent here on this Corki. He's played so well every single time. He has the most CS in the game on the Boise State side. He's just barely beat by Extorted by a few minions. He's going to try and go in, make the hero play, but the Gangplank all actually kind of forced
and the lockup to follow suit.
That was
Ascent
weird.
Could not get there.
That was a really weird play by the LCK super team. They got Gangplank ulted, which by itself is, you know, if you lose out on smiting a Baron to Gangplank ult, you probably should just maybe never play jungle again.
Sure.
But the Gangplank ult was enough for them to stop, reset for Rift Scuttle, and when they got the River Scuttle, they killed Ascent in the process who was trying to sneak down. That was just like a really,
some weird
like
timing.
it was a 10,000 IQ play by the LCK super team, but you have to, it's just like, what? Why would you do that? But I guess that's why.
You know, I mean, when you think about it, they knew that maybe the package was up. It has that auto-tour Q.
Yeah.
They saw that the Gangplank ult was coming down. It's safe to maybe assume that they could go for a Hail Mary play. You don't pick up a package if you don't intend on doing anything with it. So maybe that's their call. They called the bluff for Boise State.
Yeah, it was a great call by them. They get Baron for 2 minutes. We'll see what they can do with it. They already have, I mean, almost every Tier 2 tower down except for top lane. So I would assume, especially with Baron up, one more clean fight win like LCK Super Team's having, and this could be game. Crazy as that is.
Yeah, one more team fight. And I think with the amount of gold that they have, they can just smack the turrets with their wallets, and that would be game.
And it comes down to, once again, Boise State has got to get an elimination onto Doubtful. He's going to chase down Ascento to start this out.
Down. 3 members from the LCK Super Team in the top lane. They'll look their eyes onto this last Tier 2 tower and close in on the Boise State base. Looking for an opportunity. They are separated. Twister Fate can join this fight at any time, though, and that's something Boise State needs to have in the back of their minds at all times. Follow through the magical journey, and the ultimate to follow suit, Curse of the Sad Mummy, will bring tears to the eyes of Boise State. The rest of the team is here to follow suit. Viego looking for the resets there on Goblin. He's left alone to defend himself, and it's not going to work. Doubtful looking for another set of kills to pad the stats with, and Boise State is sent scurrying back to base. It's going to be the last member alone, Elo Dad versus 3. And it's going to be a tall order. The flash over the wall from Extorted. They have the minions in the base the entire time. Jace was there to push it on in, and that will do it. LCK Super Team will take home game 3 and the series.
It's a fantastic job by LCK Super Team once again. Boise State just plays a fantastic game number 1, and then game 2 and game 3 just barely slip away from them. But overall, a great night for the LCK Super Team, a great night for Boise State. They're learning some things. They're getting better. They're just running into that wall when it comes to closing out games. It's really they need to work on.
Guys, what are you doing Saturday, the 30th? What are you doing, Fish?
You know, it depends. From 6 to 10, it looks like I might have some plans.
Yeah, do you guys at home have plans for Halloween? If you're in the Boise area, you don't want to miss out on this Boise State Esports Halloween party right here in the arena presented by the Idaho Army National Guard. We got fighting games, racing games. People are going to do some cosplaying. There's going to be food. I'm going to be there, of course. Tons of prizes and more. You'll want to RSVP to hold your spot at boisestate.edu/esports. I got to get on that.
Yeah, that's going to be
I
a
got to
ton
get
of
the
fun.
food.
Got to get your costume,
I
right?
got to I'm already ready.
Oh.
Should I reveal it on stream?
No, not yet.
It's
hold
a surprise.
Yeah, hold it till the very end.
I told production it. I think they approve.
I am disappointed Halloween's on a Sunday. I always love when we do get to pull off some Halloween broadcasts, but this will be a ton of fun. But right now, I mean, unfortunately, Boise State, I mean, you know, I mean, you look at the bright side, though. Literally every UAL game has gone to Game 3. They've had a chance in almost every single series to pull off a victory in one way or another. And it just comes down to, again, these really tiny things. Maybe you look at that Game 2 draft, and in hindsight, of course, everything's easier in hindsight. Everything's easier for you and I to say.
Right.
But, you know, maybe you take the Zinzao over the Misfortune in Game 2, and in Game 3, I mean, no one really could have predicted the Viego, and it was just played so well by Doubtful. Again, that was just honestly Doubtful just made his presence felt in Games 2 and Game 3, and that came down to the real difference, and that's nothing against Mortar. It's just that Zinzao is just so strong into what Boise State wanted to do in Game 2, and I really don't know how you counter. You know, I don't know how you counter
Viego or Jinzhou?
Yeah.
You actually just ban them. That's how you count.
Well, but
them.
I mean, you never would have predicted the Viego out of nowhere, and I understand why you're banning the Yumi and the Thresh and the Lucian, because those are such strong champions in their own right. I mean, maybe you pick up the Rel again. We never really saw that Rel run back from Light Pulse that he played so phenomenally in game number 1. That really, I mean, Boise State just blasted LCK Super Team in game number 1. So maybe the fact they never went back to that is always a lingering question, but just really, really small things are separating this Boise State team from where they are now to where they could be maybe even 2-1, maybe even better.
Yeah, and it's still noticeable the amount of improvement in their wins.
Yeah.
Maybe game 1 in week 1 was more of a struggle for that first W that they took. Week 2, we saw a little bit more of a successful division between the performance of the win versus the losses. And then this week's no different as well. We saw their game 1 win completely blow the LCK Super Team out of the water, and then just kind of struggling to make those adaptations for the rest of the series. But we've already highlighted Doubtful and their performance in the jungle role on the LCK Super Team. Do you have a contender for maybe the player of the game for Boise State? Who would you put your money on?
That is a tough one. I would probably put it on Goblin, because I think that in game 1 he played spectacularly. In game 2, when Boise State was coming back, he had some phenomenal performances as well, and he kind of was the lifeblood of the team for the majority of game 3 until he got shut down. So I would probably give it to Goblin. I thought that he definitely had a very strong performance, was putting Boise State in great positions. Look at that.
How do you do it?
I don't know.
Rightfully so, though. I mean, in comparison, Goblin's positioning this week was phenomenal. Yes, they didn't get the W overall, but they were a huge catalyst for not only damage, for crowd control. The ultimates were turned on the dime of these perfect bullet times consistently. And despite the way the last week went, Goblin didn't take any damage.
Yeah, he just plays that so well. He does kind of get chipped down there, but he just put himself in a spot where it was almost impossible for the LCK Super Team to dive onto him. And it really was a phenomenal overall series for Goblin, and especially at the start of Game 3 when, things look lost for Boise State. Goblin was there to kind of get them back in that mid-game to a point where you're like, okay, maybe Goblin can snowball out of control. I mean, you see here, sitting at 3-0-1, ends up, 3-0-2 here. But unfortunately, just the LCK Super Team doing a great job. And it really feels like, to me, Boise State is struggling with game picks when picking things when there's not surprise picks, but when they're picks that you might not ban in game 1 get stolen away from them, right? When the misfortune gets taken away, when the Jinzhou and the Lee Sin are both highly contested, those things have caused problems for Boise State. They have looked really strong in game 1. It's kind of been a decline in games 2 and game 3 for the most part. I know they've won some games 2 as well, but that to me feels like the one thing that Boise State just needs to figure out, a couple more drafts that they can kind of pull out. As right now it feels like, okay, well, once the Rel gets taken away, or once the Leona gets taken away, we don't have that oomph in that bot lane. Once the Xin Zhao Lee Sin,
do pretty well.
All-Star did do pretty well. Once the Lee Sin and the Xin Zhao are gone, we don't have that agency in the jungle anymore. So just working on, I think, a couple more comps, maybe some tertiary and picks and some quadtiary picks. I don't even know where you would.
Quadtiary.
I never was a wordsmith in my own right. Working on those 3rd and 4th tier picks is something I think Boise State really needs to do to kind of bust through that ceiling and start to challenge. Because, I mean, everything's been at game 3, right? It's not like it's been 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and we're sitting there like scratching our heads like, what do we do? Like, like we've done to a lot of teams in the Mountain West, for example, where we're like, I don't know how you beat this team.
Right.
So I do think that they're very, very close. A well-deserved player of the game, by the way, for Goblin.
Yeah, and again, the player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes that a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. A reminder, Goblin is tonight's Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. But that's going to do it for us here, I think, tonight. Boise State continues to find some moments of success and highlights and some things to work on moving forward. But we're going to leave you guys with tonight's top 5 plays of the game, which are presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With over 10 jobs and a $20,000 sign-on bonus and a degree of your choice already paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard truly is the best team out there. Again, that's going to do it for us here at the desk. I'm Baratel. Fish was joining me tonight. And is it Tuesday yet? Good night. Maelstrom can even affect the forecast. Moving forward, though, Boise State has to respond to the second TP. A dive down, a crash down, and the damage and the health bars are going to dip down dangerously low for the LCK super team, and they are sent scurrying back to their base. A double kill picked up by Elodad. Artillery strike with the light pulse to scatter the weak will find two, and the damage, there's the bullet time. It doesn't matter if you have a shield. It is a 1 versus 5. Can Doubtful pull this off? I doubt it.
Here's the Guardian's Angel. Elodad
Kill him 2 times. Here comes the perfect
very
cue.
careful.
And he's gone just like that. Boise State. 25% of Light Pulse's health is gone. But solely looking mid-rotation will be found by the Jin Jiao. Here comes the stun. The Curse of the Sad Mummy will be answered. But Goblin will pick up a 3rd one. Really locking themselves in the I need to carry spot. The Magical Journey with the package combo. Surprise birthday party. I thought they were paced. This is the engagement they're looking for. And the Magnet Storm will keep them in place as they get shredded apart. The Flash Taunt will go forward. Here comes the heal as well. Ezreal trying to get himself over the blast cone. But there is Mortar in the wings waiting. A slicing Maelstrom in the top lane. And there's action across the whole map, Fish.
I think
Comes the Solar Flare. Speaking of full send, they're going to go and engage, but the bullet time's going to be able to slice them up in half. Slicing Maelstrom with the Zonias will be able to get the full channel off, but is it enough to dive on the backline? And Goblin again cannot be touched as Boise State cashes in on a 2nd double kill for Goblin and send LCK Super Team back home.